think a lot of students have just gotten another sense of how to belong and how to create relationships outside of what were the traditional avenues.
And a lot of my students talk about how they feel safe in the esports program, and that's their family, that's their community. And I think that esports gives kids a future that they might otherwise not have.
Man, I wish that had been available when I was in high school.
Welcome one and welcome all, and thank you for joining us once again for another great day of League of Legends. I'm your host and play-by-play audio. Joining me is none other than Kios.
Yeah, nice to be here. We got another great match, an undefeated team. We've had a few teams with really great records, but Lambert going to be the defending champions and undefeated this season. They are going to be very tough to beat.
Incredible team coming in, like you said, spotless records, and defending their championship, looking to go back-to-back. They're going to be going up against the East Coweta High School squad here today, who have a pretty good record in their own right, but really looking to prove themselves against the best of the best.
Yeah, it's going to be very tough to take down Lambert. I mean, when you just don't lose, I mean, how can you beat these guys? You don't have anything to really work off of because, like, what has worked against them? Well, nothing so far. So they're going to have to come out with a new strategy, try something in game one maybe that, they may be not expecting to try and get them off guard because in a straight-up game, these guys are probably not going to be able to be beat.
Yeah, and we did see a new patch come in today, so there's a couple changes to the game that may be able to catch them off guard. We saw some nerf to Senna and her soul generation, so not massive, but will at least take longer for her to ramp up throughout the game. And then also Akali getting the real big nerf hammer. She might be just out of the meta now.
Probably not going to see too much of Akali, but there are still a lot of the same champions here. We had a few shifts, but I think overall still pretty much the same meta we're looking at here. Jungle probably maybe a little bit changed. We had some XP changes there. Maybe some new champions going to creep their way in, but I think we're still going to have a similar sort of setup with a pretty fast game overall in this one. I don't think we're going to slow down too much, and not too many champions getting pushed out besides Akali.
Yeah, we'll take a look at the bracket here and how these two teams make it to the championship. You can see Lambert and East Coweta meeting up here in the finals. The Lambert, something's up, and the East Coweta Longhorns.
These guys have gone through a long bracket, and now here in the finals, I think that having this experience through a long tournament like this really helps, especially in these longer series, these best of threes. We've seen a lot of 2-0s, but even in that, even in that environment where you have several games back to back, being able to have this experience playing all these games really helps out because it can be such a long series, especially if the games go long.
Yeah, absolutely. Best of three means that both these teams will have a long road still to get to that last coveted championship spot. But going into the games, for those who are a little bit unfamiliar with the esports scene or League of Legends, tell me a little bit about the game itself.
So League of Legends, 5v5 MOBA. Basically, it's 5 guys on a map. Summoner's Rift going to be the map we're playing on, and they're going to fight each other in different spots here. There's basically terrain on the map you got to deal with here, different things, inhibiting you from getting from place to place here. There's going to be turrets that each team is going to have that are going to fend spots, and there's also going to be different things around the map. We talked about jungle XP. Those are going to be things in between the lanes. There's going to be 3 lanes, and in between that, the jungle, where there are going to be camps that can be taken basically for golden experience, like we talked about earlier on, and those turrets are going to fend basically the minions pushing down those lanes. So that way, when the enemy team comes up, they actually have some sort of obstacle to get through, which is going to create a little bit interesting scenario of whether or not they can actually push through or if they have to back off. There's going to be a lot of movement around the map to try and find an opening in someone's defense.
A little bit of a base defense going on here, and although it can sound simple, there's a lot of intricacies to the game. We'll try to work our way through it as we go. One of the biggest ones being the actual champions that these players pick, and there's over 140 of these champions in League of Legends, and we'll have a little bit of a draft phase here before the game where each team will get to pick 5 champions as well as ban 5 away. And this is an interesting little almost mini game, before the actual game starts, especially as the series develops. You can see a lot of adaptation coming in from both sides, as maybe something that worked well in game 1 is banned away in game 2, and teams have to adapt on the fly.
Certainly, that's a big thing. Adapting in between games can be crucial because if something's really powerful in game number 1, you got to make sure you either have a way to deal with it or just maybe get rid of it in game number 2 and possibly game number 3 as well. So teams gonna have to adapt throughout the series, but also in game, right? Sometimes you have a plan going into a game and then that doesn't go super well. You got to adapt to the situation, change it up here. So adaptation very important in this game because the game state can change significantly depending on the situation, like a lot of sports, but especially in MOBAs and League of Legends in particular. There's can be a lot of different swings where you find yourself in a different situation. Even if you have the same champions every game, or you come up with a similar composition, you can be in a completely different situation than you were before. So adaptation, very important in the draft phase and in game.
Yeah, speaking of that in game, we have Season 10 where we see the dragon, the elemental rifts coming to play, and just based on what rift you get, it can change the actual landscape of the map. It can change what is so powerful. But let's get into that draft phase that we talked about. Both these teams ready to go here in this best of 3 series. They're going to be choosing what champions, what compositions they want to take into this first game.
And Lambert, on the left side of your screen, they're going to have the first pick here. So we're going to go through 3 bands for both sides, and then Lambert going to have the first pick. And then the other side will get a chance to pick 2 champions back here. So having that first pick can be very, very powerful, get a champion you really want, but also being able to pick after the enemy team so they, so you know what their plan is. You can sort of adapt to it. As we talked about, adaptation is so important. Make sure you can sort of pick something that's good into what they're doing here. So a lot of complicated things to go through here in the draft because you got to deal with so many different positions, so many different things coming through. But both these sides seem to have a very set idea of, like, we're going to deal with the junglers first here, with Rek'Sai, Olaf being banned away. 2 strong early game junglers. They didn't want to see those picked.
Seen a lot of meta champions here join the ban table. Misfortune is going to be the second ban for Lambert High School, followed by that Mordekaiser. Really solid flex pick that can go to the top or the mid lane. Very good matchup to a lot of different scenarios. Hard to gank. It's a good idea to take them off the ban table. Orianna going to be the last one here for Lambert.
Yeah, so the Orianna, a powerful, mid lane champion, she's just really consistent, I think, overall. So it's good to take away, especially in game 1. Maybe throw them off a little bit here because it's maybe more of a comfort pick for them, and obviously super powerful to combo with other things here. So both these teams sort of a few bans targeted at each different position here. Just not really focusing one person, making sure they get, all the important things off the table first here. As Lambert going to go with a powerful pick. Seen a lot more Ornn first pick recently here. That Ornn, a very powerful laner in the top side, and there's been a lot of different ways to attack him, but overall it's really hard to shut down that Ornn in the top lane.
Yeah, we'll see if it's PKDAR is going to have a good time on that one. East Coweta, though, picking up the Gragas and the Yasuo. This is an interesting combination because both these champions synergize so well together, having the Gragas cast the Yasuo ultimate. We typically see Gragas in the jungle, Yasuo in the mid lane, but it hasn't been unheard of when these 2 champions are on the same team to put them in the bottom side of the map.
Certainly could be a rotation here, but we got a cool thing with the Gragas Yasuo. Now we got a Nidalee jungle here, talking about unique picks. Nidalee jungle, not seen very often recently. She's an AP jungler here who's pretty squishy. She can go down pretty fast, but her damage can be massive. So she's a really cool champion. A lot of playmaking potential on her. We'll see what she can do, but it is a very risky pick. I mean, you got to be really proficient on the champion and also have good lanes to combo with here. So Lambert getting aggressive with her jungle pick first off.
Yeah, Vulcan probably bringing out that pocket pick, something he's put a lot of time into personally. Now getting to the second round, neither team has picked up an ADC quite yet. That Yasuo could be flex, but we see Lambert, they don't think so. They're already banning away the Sivir and the Xayah. Even though East Coweta will have the first pick in the second rotation, that ADC pool being pinched.
Well, it does make sense with the Leona being picked that, yeah, it's probably going to be, Yasuo mid lane, Gragas jungle here, because Leona doesn't really have a lot of great synergy with Yasuo specifically. I mean, they can fall in, but no knockups for the level 6 play, so I think probably just going to be Leona bot lane here and then Yasuo mid, and they're going to grab the set first off. So saving their AD carry pick for last. I think that it's probably a good idea because they did see a couple bans here. I think that just going for a safer bot lane here might be fine because there's still a lot of powerful bot lane picks, I think, up.
Grabbing a lot of range for themselves. The Caitlyn, the Morgana, a little bit of a flashback to last season when this is one of the most dominant bot lane duos that you saw in the game, up there with the likes of the Xayah Rakan. And East Coweta saving their ADC pick for last. They're going to grab Jinx.
This is definitely an aggressive choice because Caitlyn Morgana is one of the most dominant bot lanes in the history of the game. If you get those 2 together, it's really hard to play against them. They have a lot of great range, and as soon as you get hit by a Dark Binding from Morgana, you then get the rest of the CC put down by Caitlyn, and just usually you can get 100 to 0 there. So a very dangerous bot lane to play into. And now that you have Leona, she's not going to have a ton of lane presence, and with the Black Shield of Morgana, she can deny the CC of Leona, which is her big, strong point. So I think that I'm very scared of in this lane, and Jinx is a bit of a risk because if she does get exploited and falls behind, Jinx is not one of those champions that's just kind of always useful. She really needs a lot of golden items to really become a powerful champion on your team. So this is going to be a bit of a tough lane here for the bot lane, and this Jinx Leona, they could do well, come out of laning phase strong and have a big impact in the mid game, but if this, Caitlyn Morgana does what it's supposed to do, that could be a really tough position for them to be in.
Yeah, going to have a advantage there in the laning phase. East Coweta, though, really looking for those mid to late game team fights. They have a lot of tools available to them. Long range engage with the Gragas ultimate and the Leona Solar Flare. They have that front line in set who should have a decent lane up there on the top side against that the Ornn. And then they have the late game insurance in both the Yasuo and the Jinx. So kind of really tunneling in on that one specific playstyle. I feel like Lambert have a little bit more options. There's a lot of lane priority for them. You do kind of suffer in that top side, but Ornn, one of those quote-unquote tanks that do a deceptive amount of damage despite being classified as one of just those beefy front lines.
Lambert has a lot of options, like you said, in the early game, especially with this Nidalee, and they have some good pushing lanes. So I think Lambert are going to definitely be the aggressors early on.
All right, well, we'll see what they're able to do here in Game 1. Lambert trying to defend their title. We'll be joining them on the Rift as East Coweta looking to put a blemish on that perfect record.
Well, it looks like they might get up to a little something early on here. All 5 of their members looking to play against this invade. This could be a really crazy level 1.
Oh, it's a great 3-man body slam, and East Coweta are looking for the first takedown. FCA flashes away, but it's actually first takedown for their Morgana, as Kanabi gets pinched in there, not able to run away.
Well, that was the dream scenario for East Coweta. I mean, they had everything they wanted. They got a huge body slam out of their Gragas and set up in the exact spot they knew Lambert was going to invade at, and they still lost. Really an unfortunate series of events there for them. I mean, they had exactly what they wanted. They had the body slam, and then the Dark Binding from Morgana even missed, but somehow great kiting back from Lambert. They were able to win that one at the level 1 here, and again, not a crazy difference because it was on the support, which isn't usually who you want the gold on, but it is a big win here for Lambert level 1, and a few summoner spells going to be down because of that for both sides.
Yeah, you do get 3 assists there for Lambert, so a little bit of that gold spread around. Morgana does pick up the actual first takedown gold, but like you said, actually more dedicated to that play on East Coweta's side. You see the Ignite from Yasuo, the heal from the Jinx, and the Ignite from Leona. Double Ignite going down. However, we did see FCA or Facade flash away there, so that could be a potential lane to exploit if you are Kanabi.
Yeah, Diana will definitely have some issues in this lane, even in the 1v1 against the Yasuo. I think that's a decent matchup overall. Diana can play relatively safe there, but it's flashless. It is definitely a concern. So definitely keep your eyes on that mid lane here. The Nidalee just going straight buff to buff early on or clear. Gragas going from blue to Gromp. So interested to see where this Nidalee goes early on as we get already 1 Dark Binding down in the bot lane here. And yeah, Nidalee maybe going very aggressive with Invade. She's gone buff to buff and now all the way top side here. An aggressive play by the Nidalee, but maybe able to 3-buff the enemy Gragas.
Yeah, she does have that ward right on top of the Raptors in the enemy jungle, so knowing that Gragas has not come up to this top side yet, she feels confident to steal away this buff and will come out to an early advantage. Here on the top side, we see it's PKDar shoving in this lane. Returning from that championship team of last year, it's PKDar was one of the quintessential pieces of Lambert's squad. Oh my word, that haymaker damage though puts him in a tight spot.
Well, the Ornn's been trying to shove this way because the Nidalee invaded on top side, and usually you want your lanes to shove so that they can rotate first to help you out if there is a fight in the jungle here. So Ornn trying to do what he can to help out his jungler, but obviously pays the price with that trade against the set here, which able to dodge out on that, which could have been a really bad trade for the Ornn. Another one to follow up the first one, but the Ornn doing the selfless thing and trying to help out his jungler by getting priority there.
Yeah, we see Vulcan, once again, he's continuing on this counter jungling path, now taking away the Krugs, was just buffed in this recent patch. A lot more gold and XP in the camp. Gragas, though, well, hang on, though. We see Vulcan coming in for a gank. Can he land the spear? Immediate flash away. Good dodge there by Flinch with a flash forward. The Haymaker not going to be enough. Vulcan will find the second takedown for Lambert.
That was a beautiful play there by Vulcan, as well as the follow-up there by his top laner. It's PKDar. I mean, that was just a great dive early on. That is so volatile. Like, if you don't hit those key abilities there, then you probably go down to the turret, and that's a big play early on here. So a really nice play by Lambert to start things off on the top side. They 3-buff the Gragas, steal away the Krugs as well, and then gank his top laner. Really great start here for Vulcan.
Yeah, let's talk about Vulcan in his early path, because look at the map right now for Kanabi, the options he has. After he went and grabbed his blue side of the jungle, he went down to the bottom lane, tried to maybe find a gank, didn't work out, so he just recalled. Yeah, he's even in farm right now, actually 1 camp up, but look at the amount of camps available. He has a Gromp. There are 4 camps up for Vulcan. So if he chooses to finish off this clear, he could actually potentially be massively further ahead of Coweta.
Also, as the Scuttle is going to pick up here, so the Nidalee basically gets everything she wanted in the early game. I mean, just a really great start, and Nidalee is one of those champions that when you do get a great start like this, it becomes really hard to play against for the enemy team because she can just get so strong in the early game and mid-game portions of the game overall. She's not that great, later on at 40, 50 minutes. She won't be very powerful unless you just want her to, Ardent Sensor, your AD carry and poke the enemy team. But, for the time being, she's going to be a very scary champion to go up against. And as we already saw topside, that is a very scary thing to face as a laner coming in, getting ganked by her. And it looks like she may try again as, once again, she's topside. I think that Lambert, just ignoring the dragons here, they have a bot lane who you would think would have priority being very aggressive. Because of the way the match has been played, they don't really have jungle pressure, so they've just been playing really safe here and been focusing more on the top side. I think an interesting plan by Lambert, but it's working out so far.
Trying to repeat gank here onto the set, who is missing his flash. Meanwhile, he's Coweta spotted Vulcan out on that ward on the red buff, so they're going to move in for this dragon. Just a bit of a Hail Mary Dark Binding there. Bulldozer Peacemaker steal that one away. Zap going to come through to interrupt those recalls. Good trap placement, and now that Morgana is caught out, Zenith's Blade is going to get on top of her. Flashed away from PlayVS. Love that name, by the way.
Yeah, this isn't...
Oh, hang on. Predator going to come up from Kanabi just to try to run away. The rest of Lambert was collapsing. Meanwhile, though, while this is all going on, YU Flinch forced off this turret and multiple plates going over. It's Kadar and Vulcan.
I was going to say, I think this is actually a good thing for Lambert because they're going to get so much pressure topside. Got some plating, some gold there. And yeah, Dragon pretty good, but the gold they're going to get from the turret topside and deny from the enemy top laner as well, I think is just a huge swing for Lambert. And really, I think that play generally favors them. Obviously, the Dragon can be impactful later on, especially with the Gragas Yasuo combo, powerful ultimates there. But I think overall, that play was really positive for the most part for Lambert.
Yeah, Lambert kind of embracing that ideology of letting those early dragons go and really securing yourself an advantage on the top side of the map. And they've done a good job at shutting this Set down. Set is one of those champions that if you can get him into a melee matchup, he is very strong, has a lot of damage built into his kit, and he can run away with the game if he gets a lead. I love that Vulcan recognizes that and has just shut the Set down. However, we talked about that early pathing and the advantage it could potentially give him. He still has yet to take the topside Romp or Wolves. He's actually just focusing on his buffs and maybe some Raptors or Krugs, falling down a lot in CS.
He's falling down a bit in CS, but if you can see the experience, they're both level 5 here. And because he stole away the red buff and stole away all the topside camps from the enemy Gragas for the most part, there really isn't a big deficit in that position. Plus, he got the XP from the lane and the gold and an XP from the takedown. So he's actually not really that far behind in terms of gold and experience overall. I think he might just be straight up even here. He's actually at level 6 before Kanabi. So despite him not taking those camps and despite he's leaving a few camps up, he's actually going to be ahead overall in experience and gold as well. So this Nidalee is doing a great job in the early game here, and they've only focused really on one lane, but the Diana doesn't really need to do much early on. She's just going to scale up, and same thing with the bottom side. Now, it's given a free lane over to the Jinx and Leona, which I talked about being maybe a problem because if they get out of the lane, that could be a very powerful duo, and that maybe one of the strengths of Lambert's composition was the fact they had Caitlyn Morgana could shut down the enemy bot lane, but they're choosing to play somewhere
Here
else.
in the mid lane, a good ultimate there from Facade. Under the turret goes Angelic for that black shield, going to keep Vorpal from getting locked down. Nothing will come of that bottom lane play. Facade blowing that flash there in the mid lane. Vorpal as well. Gonna go with the flash.
This topside pressure could also result in a Rift Herald take in the near future here. It just spawned about 45 seconds ago, but if they're able to take the Rift Herald, you've seen that Lambert's very fine with taking a dragon for a turret trade or, even turret platings for the gold. They're very fine with that trade. So if they're
headed down to this play, Feblis is taking a lot of damage here. Navi is just going to back off, allowing an Feblis. That is going to be a difficult name to pronounce, but she's just allowing them to get aggressive down there for the Jinx and Leona.
They've done a decent job pressuring them. They're actually up in CS here, but again, Lambert's just kind of trading the two lanes on the bot side, mid and bot lane, for pressure topside and the gold there, as we had an attempted play on the top side, didn't end up working out. But again, if they just use this Rift Herald, they can maybe just get a ton of gold, and sure, you maybe go down another dragon, maybe lose the ocean. But if you're just up in insane gold amounts, then those 2 dragons don't really matter that much if you're just kind of snowballing the rest of the game.
Here comes Chompy into the mid lane flash, body slam into the Yasuo ultimate. Great wind wall can throw it out there. Super mega death rocket, not enough to take Vulcan down. And Kanabi is going to use the flash, but ends up just getting the flash from Vulcan. Nothing else really coming from that. Now, Why You Flinch looking for a trade with its Kadar. Knows the jungler is not nearby, so he finally gets that 1v1. Its Kadar will walk away.
You saw the power of the Yasuo and the Gragas there. They have a great synergy, 2 different abilities that the Gragas can use to set up the Last Breath ultimate from the Yasuo. They found a decent amount of damage on Nidalee, but she's pretty strong right now, and they don't really have quite enough burst damage to take her down in one combo. So that'll get stronger as the game goes on, but right now the Nidalee still very strong, and that combo between the Yasuo and Gragas is good, but not great. So they're kind of waiting for another couple items on both those guys before they can really just, take someone down with just a few abilities.
All right, 10 minutes into the game, we're going to see the next dragon spawning soon. Whatever that is will give us a better idea of what the rift is going to be once that one goes down. It's Kadar going in for a trade. We see Lambert about 2,000 gold up, thanks to that early pressure on the top side. Why You Flinch? He's trapped in here. This is going to be fine. Vulcan is heading up to this top side, has the Rift Herald in
I don't know if
hand.
he'll be fine. They might make a
for
play.
a dive. You can see Why You Flinch. He's just trying to recall here. He knows he's in trouble. See if he can get out. Meanwhile, East Coweta are taking down this dragon. They find PlayVS. He's going to go golden, but nowhere else to run. The flash away. Super Mega Death Rocket will secure the takedown. The flash forward from Skytrapper. Make it 2. And it is a split map for these teams.
Again, though, Lambert are trading the dragon, and unfortunately, their bot lane as well, for the topside turret. First turret, and they're going to get a second charge here onto the inner turret. It's a big trade here, and it is a little risky, but they're thinking it's going to pay off later on for them. And right now, they're going to get a second turret as well, which I wasn't even expecting. But no, not able to defend that one. Why You Flinch has to give it up. 2 turrets plus first turret gold in exchange for the dragon. I think it's overall pretty worth, because they also got the plating gold on the initial turret on the top side. And this Nidalee and Ornn going to be very strong in the future. Now, obviously, East Coweta is going to get something back on the bot side with some platings, but they're not actually able to finish the turret. And unfortunately, the bot lane's overstepped. But hey, I think really a good trade overall for Lambert. I think they're still in a very, very positive position here, up about 1,800 gold at the moment. Very good for them. And the trade overall, Ocean Dragon, decent, but not going to be a game changer like that gold could be.
Yeah, those early dragons don't do a whole lot in terms of just raw stats. You do get 10% CDR on the Cloud Drake, which is very nice.
10% CDR for the ultimate, not overall.
for the ultimate.
If it was overall, it'd be insane.
Hang on, we see Leona and the Jinx, though, setting up a dive. Zenith Blade, can we stop by the Black Shield? Jinx now excited. Teleport's going to be coming through, but they're confident they can take this one down. Double takedown for the Jinx, but here comes Ornn. Ornn being thrown out. The Diana is able to find the shutdown. Facade grabbing that gold. Haymaker going to give him some damage, but it is Lambert coming up huge in this fight. A double takedown for Vulcan makes it a 2 for 3.
And that was just because their top side is so strong. The fight starts off terribly for Lambert's bottom lane, but because the rest of their map is so strong, even Diana has done a good job of farming up and just trading that lane with the Yasuo. Lambert comes in, they TP in with 2 different guys. The jungler roams down. Massive play for Lambert on the bot side. Probably going to get this turret here on the bot side. May trade it for the mid lane turret, but Lambert, again, just trying to push that lead they have. The bot lane struggling, but the rest of the map is so strong.
Kanabi getting caught out under the turret here. Goes golden, survive the ultimate there from the Caitlyn. There's the last wish from Skytrapper, but he gets hit by a binding. Does find the shutdown, but trades his life back in the process.
But they save the turret here, and the shutdown unfortunate, but they do get one back for the Caitlyn. I think overall not a bad play for Lambert, but losing that shutdown in Italy definitely hurts. And they're not able to finish the turret on the bot side, so not as positive play as some of the ones have been in the past, but overall I think good for East Coweta. Lambert not too unhappy with it, though. It's not the end of the world for either side.
And as we just crest over the 14-minute mark, the turret plating is going to fall. Been a big reason is why some of these turrets haven't been going down. The bulwark plating, the more plates go down in a short period of time, the more defensive that turret actually gets. So that's a big proponent of why we see these plates kind of stall out. But good knock up by the Ornn. They're just going to grab that Brock. Here comes Facade to try to turn around the flash forward onto the Jinx. Here comes the solar flare, but it's not going to be enough. It's Kadar will grab credit for that one. as the bottom duo for Coweta have just gone up too far. Angelic throws out just kind of a Cena play, knows he's not going to go anywhere, but here in the mid lane, the showstopper forces the flash out of Vorpal. Finally, he's going to go wide. Now Vulcan looking to find revenge in the Yasuo, who shut him down. Skytrapper, will he have the juke boost today? There's the ultimate under the turret, but he takes himself into his doom as he's just going to gift a takedown over to Lambert.
And this is Lambert's strongest, I think, point for their team, is they're really good at moving around the map at this stage in the game here, finding openings, and now looks like Predator are going to, push them off this turret from the Gragas, but they're just finding openings, finding people extended there. In both bot lane and mid lane, East Coweta was just too far up, and Lambert punished them for being that far up in the lane, and they find basically three takedowns. I mean, there wasn't really anything traded back for it.
Yeah, remember it was the bottom lane for East Coweta that was strong in the early game. They was kind of sacrificing the top for the bot. The Jinx a lot of gold put into this carry. And so the fact that the bottom lane for Lambert have been able to come back with some of these plays is really important for them.
Yeah, and Nidalee is a champion that thrives when she's in this position, but if behind can struggle. But again, in this position, she's really good. So I think that this stage of the game right now completely belongs to Lambert. The only way I see East Coweta winning a fight in the near future that is even numbered is if they do have a crazy, Gragas explosive cast into a last breath, or Leona sets something up and then the Gragas comes through. There has to be a major combo coming through from these guys where they have a crazy good engage and just completely shut out Lambert before the fight even starts. But bar that, I don't think it's going to go well.
The first of the next few Infernal Dragons, are going to spawn. Kanabi getting chunked out, forced away, will be taken down by Facade. That is huge. Massive engage from Lambert High School. The Haymaker going to do some damage, but it is a lost fight before it even starts. 2, 3 quick takedowns for Lambert High School, and this dragon should be theirs.
Well, it's Kadar. He's the one who comes up with a massive engage. East Coweta are the ones running away there. I mean, just a great setup for them. They find East Coweta in a choke point, even with the Infernal map, which generally, is wider open. But they find a great angle to come in, and then great setup, and then, the Gragas, who's the one we pointed out to, hey, maybe he's the one to come up with a big engage, was pushed away that time by the Diana. He was able to never get into the fight, really set up anything for his team. That just messed everything up, and Lambert just kind of took it to East Coweta before they could set up the fight they were looking for.
And so smart, so calculated by Lambert. Remember early on, sacrificing the top lane for the bottom half Assad. He's just going to jump over the wall, find some quick damage on Ineffablis, and run away. But a lot of teams really put so much priority into these dragons because the rifts can be so powerful, so game-changing. But you can fall into that trap of those early couple dragons. They don't actually matter that much individually, so Lambert sacrificed the bottom half of the map to get PKDAR an advantage, to get Vulcan an advantage, and now that those 3rd, 4th dragons are coming online, they're finally starting to come down to contest them.
And I think that's actually really good for them, because guess what the dragons are? The Infernal, which is
arguably the best.
Probably the best soul in the game. And if they can stack several Infernals as well, that'll mean some great stats for them, because they have many people who use it quite well. Basically everyone on their team except for the Ornn is going to use those stats. And Ornn, maybe he'll build one item that's going to get some buffs. But really, they're going to get a lot of free gold effectively out of the buffs here as Yasuo going in.
Wish from Skytrapper, going to just put a little bit of damage on his PKDAR. It's a short cooldown. He has a Cloud Drake. He'll be fine. That one already almost a quarter of the cooldown elapsed.
But now they have a second Rift Herald to break open this mid lane outer turret, and maybe even more after that here. So a big opportunity for Lambert to capitalize with this Rift Herald. If they're able to find another opening like they did last time, that'd be huge and push the lead even farther.
It's going to force the flash out of Kanabi. He takes so much damage, he has to walk away. The amount of poke on Lambert's composition is pretty nasty as long as Vulcan can be dialed in with those spears. Not even going to use the Rift Herald quite yet. Here comes the call of the Forge God. Is going to find 2 into the back line, continuing to poke down. Vulcan going to find a takedown and even walk away from it. The Fiona ultimate's going to find the Caitlyn, but a great ult from Prasad is just going to draw them in. Vorpal now in a takedown spree. They do trade back to Diana, but they grab 4 for themselves and now pushing strong with the Rift Herald.
I don't know how Vulcan survived that. He got the heal off at the last second before the turret shot hit him, and then somehow survived everything else. Just an amazing that he survived that. Diana falls, but 4 strong with the Rift Herald. That's an inhib gone, and pre-20 minutes, that means that it's very tough for East Coweta to come back from this one. Decent wave clear, but really losing an inhib at this stage of the game, that's going to be really difficult to come back from. And, I mean, Lambert's showing why they're such a strong team, up 8K gold. And factor Orin items on top of that. Orin items, you can see the little upgrade. They have a special little icon there in the UI. Basically, it just means they're upgraded. They're giving extra stats to the Orin right now. Much more effective than they normally would be. About 1,000 gold per one of those, roughly. And so that means that the goldie, which is like 7-ish thousand gold right now, is really more like 9-ish thousand, which is, you know, a pretty big difference. And once he starts upgrading his teammates' items, that'll get even more and become really scary. So Lambert, massive lead for them here. Last fight looked great, and now, again, hard to come back from this one for East Coweta, but they do have that crazy wombo combo that can sometimes be, you know, just too powerful, even when you're down by a lot of gold. That combo from Explosive Cask into Last Breath and then the follow-up stuff they have after that, I mean, could be the difference in a fight, even when they're down this much.
East Coweta looking for that miracle engage. If you can catch 4 or 5 members in that combo, doesn't matter how far ahead you are in stats if you never get a chance to actually fight back. So they're, you know, East Coweta, they may be down, but they're never quite out. They do have a lot of skilling on their side. However, you know, with the Infernal Dragons up, if we talked about Lambert could have the potential to stack up to 4 of them if they got all the way to the Soul. That would really turn the tide of that scaling. Skytrapper looking in the 1v1. He can barely even pop through that shield as there comes the Caitlyn ultimate. The Last Breath's going to buy a little bit of time, but Vulcan's going to pick up credit for that one. I think the top side Showstopper will interrupt the call of the Forge God. But it's PKDar. He's too tanky, man. The flash to follow to get the knockup. Flinch, he's running the wrong way. Will be taking up those minions. Just whittling him down.
Team's on Baron as well.
Might actually just walk away with this. There's no Ornhorn available. No more flash. He's going to stop for the Honey Fruit, and that will probably cost him his life. Haymaker buying so much time as PKDar finally takes him down.
I think he could have gotten away because he had Rift Scuttle in the river there. If he wanted to just keep running, I think he would have survived because the rest of Lambert was on Baron here. And the Ornn winning the 1v1 against the set is not a good sign. He's 0-5 now, struggling in the top lane because, well, I mean, he just got camped, basically.
Yeah.
You know, Nidalee set up a tent and just kept going topside. Pretty tough to play against when you don't have too much support from your team. And yeah, East Coweta got something back bot lane. Or East Coweta got something back bot lane there with the Jinx being very strong, but then she never really carried that into the rest of the game. Once they got advantage in lane, it was just like, well, now what do we do in the team fights? Well, we get shut down by Vulcan here on this crazy strong Nidalee. Then, you know, the Diana comes in, then the Ornn comes in. Not really much they can do with that, but a second Infernal going to come through for Lambert. Still have some time left on this Baron as well. Could get some, you know, turrets off that as well. Hold on, maybe the jungler going to go down.
Yeah, Kadabi might be caught out here. Vulcan going to dash over the wall, but Yasuo showing up will deter the Nidalee. And just nothing but pressure here from the Lambert squad. They're making full use of all the advantages they have. They are so far up, almost 10,000 gold, but their foot never comes off the gas. This is what we expect from the returning champions. For the GHSA, flashed away by PlayVS. Keep himself safe, keep himself healthy for this upcoming fight. And Lambert trying to take it slow and steady with the Baron. Super minions currently going into the mid lane. They choose now for the engage. It's PKDar knocked back into his team, but he's taking up so much damage. There comes the Super Mega Death Rocket to find some more chip.
Super minions on the base, though.
Yeah, they have to go and answer East Coweta. They have to make a choice, and the inhibitor turret will fall. Lambert are going to break down another inhib. And they just have complete control of the map right now. Looks like they're going to probably back off, reset, if you look for that final top lane inhibitor.
A double inhib down. Mid lane inhib will spawn relatively soon, but already one Nexus turret down. They never really made a decision. East Coweta needed to either commit to a fight there or go back and stop the minions and then try again. They never really made a decision on either, and as a result, they lose the inhibitor and a Nexus turret there. A bit of indecision, you know, biting them in the butt there, so kind of unfortunate, and they have one inhibitor left. They can maybe make a stand around that, and like we said, they have this crazy combo of the Gragas Yasuo with, you know, even Leona setting up engage as well. And Lambert, when they go topside, are going to be forced in kind of an awkward position because what they've done for the most part is stay as 5, which makes, you know, a decent amount of sense because, you know, if they get split up, maybe that can lose that way. So they're just staying as 5, but if they do get grouped up too close to each other like they were last time, maybe the cast can come in and then a big fight for Coweta. So I think there is an opportunity when they push on top side, but Why You Flinch is not having a good day.
Yeah, this isn't where you're supposed to be, and he's going to get absolutely deleted here. Corporal, though, also caught out up here on the top side. 1v3, and is going to be shut down by Skytrapper. Big mistake there by Lambert.
Unfortunately, the AD carriage went a little bit too far up the lane before the rest of his team joined him, but that's okay. One mistake for either side.
It is going to buy a lot of time here for East Coweta. Without that EDC, that long range from the Caitlyn to break down these turrets, Lambert are going to have to kind of take a break. They're going to have to wait for that EDC to respawn. So an extra 30, 45 seconds will allow East Coweta to at least breathe a little.
Try and take this inhibitor, but yeah, without your AD carry, it seems highly unlikely that they'll be able to do so, as now maybe the Ornn caught.
Kadar is going to run away from this one. Here comes Call of the Forge God. Xenoblade on top of the Ornn, though 1v4 should certainly be enough to take him down. But meanwhile, Lambert have all stacked up here on the top side. The Caitlyn just respawning.
And now no cast either.
Not quite here yet, and a lot of tools used in that last fight from East Coweta to break down the defenses of that Ornn. Skytrapper going to get binded. The spear will go wide, and Super Minions crashing to this bottom side. Lambert will be pulling off. Caitlyn just starting to rejoin, making a pit stop in the jungle for that move up.
Essence Reaver second for the Jinx here, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah, it really. When I look at this, because coming from a Jinx main, it is going to allow her to be a lot more safer at range. When you're going up against this high-range competition, the Italy Spears, the Caitlyn, the Ornn coming through, you always want to stay at the max range possible. And if an Ephiblis doesn't feel like he can get within the auto-attack range to consistently put out damage, the Essence Reaver is going to allow him to stay in his rocket form and just sit back and poke with the zap. So it is a little bit strange seeing that come through. You almost always go with the Runan's Hurricane because of the amazing synergy it has, but it will be a more defensive look for the Jinx.
Well, the interesting thing, too, is that usually that build, the Infinity Edge into Essence Reaver or vice versa, is actually the one Caitlyn goes for. But this time she went for Stormrazor. Stormrazor not bad build either.
Double crit cloak as well.
Yeah, so kind of interesting. Like, usually you'd see Caitlyn go for more AD up front early on because she scales better at the beginning of the game.
This one actually intrigues me a little bit because we saw this build, the IE Essence Reaver into 2 crit cloaks, really popular, and I think it was like 10.1, but in 10.2, and we're now currently 10.3, the crit chance was changed from 25% to 20. You actually don't get the 100% crit chance, and it feels like an ineffective use of the gold for Jinx.
Well, you still have 90% crit chance, so like
you do, but
it's really high. Like you're gambling a little bit with the 10% chance to not crit and losing a lot of gold, but I think it's not terrible.
You're also sacrificing the use of that completed item.
Yes.
We talked about the synergy of the Runan's Hurricane. It feels like that might have been a much more effective use of the gold.
Staying at long range, though, is also important, so maybe rapid fire. I mean, it's a tough decision. Runan's is very, very good, but staying at long range and being able to use the rockets for max range, rapid fire could be good too. I think that really she's just trying to get as much damage as she can in an extended team fight, because that's what right now her team needs. So going for the double crit cloak makes some sense because it's going to give her, like, in theory, the max damage if everything goes according to plan.
Going to be coming out. Teleport coming in from YU Flint, trying to push Lambert off of this dragon. Leona is taking a lot of shots. There is the ultimate that we look for. 4-man. Now he will find the last switch, where this could be the fight that he's going to want. A huge ultimate from Prasad, and Lambert are on the retreat. 3 members left. Inevitablis is excited, and he's going to continue chasing them down. Angelic will make sure the Caitlyn cannot run away, and a 4-for-1 trade in favor of Coweta.
Well, that's what we were talking about this entire game. Flash body slam that time with the cask follow-up, but an amazing play there from Kanabi. That's exactly what we were talking about this entire time. Get the Gragas in here, get him with a great engage, then the team follows up, and they win a fight from a crazy amount of gold down, like almost 10,000 gold down. They win that fight, and now have a chance to take this Baron here. Nidalee still here, possible steal from her. She's up 2 levels, so her smite's much stronger, but getting into the pit is a bit of a difficult task. So
She's able to sneak around the back. Will be spotted out on 1 board, but like you said, 2 levels up. The CPU do it, jumps into the pit, going to be focused down. Why you flinch will get the takedown.
And they get a
credit.
shutdown. Massive.
Onto the set. Huge play for East Coweta. And starting that all off, Lambert starting up that Baron, they took a lot of damage, missing that frontline tank, or SBKdar was there, but he was not tanking up the Baron. He was more focused on getting the flank. And so the rest of the team started that fight off at half health.
I mean, that's how hard the Baron's to take now. It just does so much damage to you, and if you don't have a lot of sustain or a team made of several tanks, you're not able to tank it easily. But that time that you, like you said, so concerned with what the enemy team was doing, they were just trying not to get caught in a bad situation. And as a result, they take more damage from the Baron and end up getting caught in a bad situation anyway. So, unfortunate for Lambert. They're still up a decent amount here. Triple Infernal plus, Ornn items. They have a lot more effective gold than it looks right now, so they're still significantly in the lead. But the way those last fights have gone, the gold lead isn't mattering as much in terms of just the raw stats.
Oh, here comes the solar flare from the Leona. Might be looking for Vorpal. Gonna be hit by the binding. Kanavi finds the ultimate onto the Morgana. She's gonna go golden. Forge God will be blocked by the Windwall, and the Jinx now on a takedown spree. She's excited, chasing down SBKdar. Without their support, Lambert, they're a man down. They know they don't want to fight. Nephilus has to be careful about how far up he walks.
Well, they finally used the Windwall and the Call of the Forge God to stop that, which certainly helped that fight. That was good.
They are just going to be pushing up this bottom lane. They have the Baron. They know how strong they are right now. Angelic down about half health, but the rest of the squad is ready to go. Leona falling very low. Bert, the heal has to be popped there from an Nephilus. There comes the Caitlyn ultimate, but right into the wind wall, unfortunately. It was such a low support. The Morgana respawning. East Coweta is going to reset.
Now, this game is getting very scary here for Lambert. In a game you would never expect them to lose. They were up just an immense amount of gold and just raw items. They were so far ahead, but that fight around Baron has changed the entire dynamic of the game here. And this Infernal Soul fight will be big because if Lambert get it, even if they do have a bad engage or the fight setup is bad, Infernal Soul was so powerful, plus a fourth Infernal Drake never hurt anyone, except for the enemy team.
We talked about the effective gold, right? How the score almost lies to you a little bit. It is a 1,000 gold advantage for Lambert, but you add 1,000 gold for each of those Ornn items. 4 Infernal Drakes also makes that gold deceptively, really deceiving, because you can probably add like an effective 5,000 to 10,000 gold on top of that from all just the raw stats you're getting on these late game champions like the Diana and like the Caitlyn.
Jinx just split push to take the outer turret on the top side, so now the pressure in terms of minions isn't going to be like overwhelming for Lambert. If you leave that lane alone for a long time, those minions can stack up and become a problem for East Coweta, but because she took the turret, it's going to be evened out a little bit more. So the minions in the top lane shouldn't be a concern here. We can sit around this Infernal for a long time, but this Infernal fight is going to be very important, just like the last Baron was. But Infernal Soul, like we said, it's a permanent buff, and it could possibly just make any fight impossible. Lambert basically guaranteed to win him if they have the Infernal Soul.
So important that Lambert were able to get in here and set up around the dragon before it spawned. If you can get those Caitlyn traps down, it makes your life a whole lot easier. You can see, difficult for East Coweta to even approach this objective. Yeah, they're going to look to take it down before it's even fighting. Kanavi is able to find his way in, but a great Diana ultimate is just going to take them down. The smite coming in early and a double takedown for Vulcan. East Coweta are just being destroyed. 4 members down. It's going to be the Dragon. It'll be the Soul. It'll be the clean ace for Lambert, and they're going to look to take this one out.
Well, that time they had the good cast, but Yasuo rooted. Could not find the last breath ultimate to get in there. Really just a disastrous setup that time. Able to get the Caitlyn traps down. No way to get in for them on the right side. And, I mean, what a game from Lambert. They kind of threw it away all at that Baron fight. Really messed that one up. But because they were so far ahead before that happened, and they recover here with a big play around the Dragon with a great setup, getting there early. They sacrifice top turret, but they get their early setup things, and then it's super easy to win that fight once you're there before the enemy team.
And that's something we saw throughout the game from Lambert, is they were always willing to sacrifice something to get something else, and their value on what objectives are important and what they want to take was so interesting to watch, because we saw early on almost completely giving up on the bottom side of the map. I mean, Elise wasn't even taking the camps down there. She just lived on the top side, got that set way ahead. They used that advantage to their, advantage later on in the game.
I think that was just it. They traded a Dragon, which doesn't give very much upfront gold or stats, so it's basically effectively not a ton of gold. and then they just traded it for basically raw gold in turret platings. Plus, they also set the enemy top laner behind a significant amount and got the first turret eventually and just got all the plating gold. They were just so far ahead in terms of raw gold because of that play that they were just trading it for an objective that could maybe be good later on, but really wasn't going to be as effective as just the raw stats they were getting from those plays topside.
All right, if you're East Coweta, what adaptations do you want to make come into the draft phase for game number 2?
Well, certainly you got to figure out a way to deal with this Ornn. They had the Yasuo pick, which could shut down Call of Forge God, but wasn't really able to in most fights. They weren't able to find that that exact wind wall stop the Call of Forge God into the big cask. They had a few good plays from Kanavi, but the synergy between the Yasuo and Gragas wasn't great. So I think they need to go back to the drawing board and figure out maybe something better in the top side, specifically to shut down that matchup. The set is a good matchup into the Ornn, but they never really played around it. So you could go back to that, but then you have to pick a jungler that's going to be good there. So I think really play around that top side, or at least take away the play around topside from Lambert.
All right, we'll see if they're able to make those adaptations. We're going to do a short break as these players get ready for game number 2. Don't go anywhere. This series will return in just a bit. Welcome back, everybody, to the GHSA State Championships here for the 2019 League of Legends Fall season for PlayVS. We just saw Lambert have a really good game against East Coweta, and they are now 1 game away from the perfect season. Not a single loss through the entire regular season or playoffs. They're 1 game away from sweeping the championship as well. I mean, they already were the defending champions, but this would go down as history as probably one of the most dominating teams that we have ever seen.
Well, and not to take anything away from their opponents, though. That was a very close game one.
Very close
so
game.
their perfect season is in jeopardy. Like, I could totally see them losing this next game because that play around Baron, which they ended up losing, that fight, I mean, again, they were almost out of that game. It felt like, oh, maybe the momentum's with them. But then that last fight around Dragon, they pulled it all together, said, all right, hey, enough's enough. We're going to take this game for ourselves. But that game was very close. They looked really dominant at times, but also there were a few cracks in the armor here. So we'll see if those mistakes can be capitalized on a bit more. But they're about to take it with a perfect season. I mean, very, very impressive so far from those guys. And they're just 1 game away. This would be an incredible season for them.
Yeah, and what did East Coweta need to do to actually put a blemish on that record? We talked a little bit about the draft. I know the Nidalee was absolutely huge for Lambert. That pick just kind of, Voltron on that one just dominated the top side of the map. He seemed very comfortable on it, so I would expect that to be taken away. But are there any other changes in the draft or in the actual gameplay that you would like to see changed?
Well, for sure in the game, they kind of left their top laner out to dry, especially when they picked a lane that was kind of designed for him to be a little bit, a little bit more prioritized to win that lane. Like, he has a bit of an advantage there. Not a massive one. Ornn's a very, very good champion, but certainly because you're a champion who wants to take Conqueror, get in those extended fights, you're a fighter, you're kind of supposed to beat a tank generally in lane, but they kind of left him out to dry. They didn't really give him the tools to win that lane. Now, that may have been their strategy going in, is that we're just going to leave our top laner, but they didn't really capitalize enough on the bot side to make up for what they lost in the top side. So they need to figure out, do we try and fight them directly and go top side and fight that, or do we just commit really hard to bot side? If they decide to do that, they need to find a way to really get those turrets down early, pressure them early, because they were just taking dragons while, on the other side, Lambert were taking turrets.
Yeah, it will be an uphill battle for East Coweta for sure. Lambert are firmly in the driving seat. I mean, they've got to have all the confidence coming into this one. Game number 2 in the best-of-3 series. They have not lost a single game since, the entire season. I mean, it wasn't until last season they've lost a game. So I expect them to be very aggressive and really show what they have here.
Yeah, I think that they're confident. They like the style they played. There's no real reason to change it for them. Certainly, you have to be a bit careful around Baron. I think they may have learned their lesson around that where, hey, we got to be a bit more cautious because Baron can do a lot of damage to you before you even get into a fight. So clean up a little bit of things around the macro side of the game, but really they did a good job overall here. They just need to continue to do what worked for them and then make sure you don't throw at a Baron or a Dragonfly. That's really the biggest thing.
All right, well, before we get into game, we would like to give a huge thank you to our sponsors in PlayVS. They've been doing phenomenal work all over the nation, setting up esports leagues just like this one here in Georgia. I mean, this has really rivaled the expectation of what esports is. It's not a club. It's not an after-school activity. I mean, these are straight-up sports for these schools. I mean, they have coaching staff. They have, technical support, game day matches. I mean, they have an entire season. There's so much at stake here. I mean, when you're looking even behind or beyond the high school scene, there's colleges out there looking to give full ride scholarships for these players. And when you're looking at a team as dominant as Lambert, I mean, I'm sure that there's some schools looking for that talent. So it's absolutely incredible what PlayVS have been able to do to bring esports into the limelight and really give these players an avenue to pursue what they love to do.
We had a Rocket League player, Dewey, who's going to go to college, I believe, next year, right, for Rocket League and play there and get some scholarship. So
full ride.
Very impressive that some of these players are just at that level, because it's such a big jump, from high school sports to college sports in traditional sports, but also in esports. That's amazing that some of these players have been able to achieve that level of competition.
All right, we're going to get right into the draft phase for game number 2. We have Lambert sweeping sides here over to the red side. So East Coweta will have the first pick. We'll see what they decide to use for it.
Yeah, last time we saw the Orn first pick by Lambert. We'll see if that's that's the idea here for East Coweta, if they just want to take it away from them, because the Orn was pretty impactful. He didn't really win the 1v1, but really it was the team play that won the game for Lambert, as well as obviously all the ganks topside. That was tough to deal with. So I think they may definitely prioritize a jungler top laner here. I think that's probably what I would go with as a first pick, is probably get a jungler. In my eyes, but maybe just secure the top lane matchup, take away the Orn. That wouldn't be a bad idea either.
A lot of those junglers banned away in the first game. We were looking at the draft phase. We saw the Rek'Sai off the table. We saw the Olaf. The Olaf is taken away. Lambert will make one adjustment in taking away Skytrapper's Yasuo. We saw the Gragas Yasuo have a couple moments, specifically around that Baron with that massive wombo combo, so making sure that can't happen again.
So the Cassiopeia taken away as well. Again,
Really left up.
both of these teams are just kind of banning out different positions. Neither are focusing like on a specific position or a player and trying to take that away. They're kind of spreading them around to try and take away the troublesome champions that they feel are going to be difficult to deal with here. And with Olaf taken off, there are still a lot of junglers available, but I think that could have been a big pick for them if they wanted to get some more agency in the early game here. But just going to take away the Orn first pick. Not a bad idea here. But now Lambert have some options. We saw last time it was Yasuo Gragas was the follow-up to this, so maybe Lambert put together a nice combo, which they're going to grab some aggressive playmakers.
Yeah, the Leona and the Elise coming out. We did see the Nidalee on the table, but Lambert, they're going to make a swap here. Vulcan is going to be on that Elise. Has a similar, play style where you want to be aggressive, you want to have that early lead, but Elise so good at diving turrets. East Coweta gonna fire back with that Rek'Sai that made it through the bans.
Yeah, so the Rek'Sai is a very powerful early game jungler as well. But the Elise with the ability to have, I think, just generally more effective ganks early on, especially with the setup she's got.
And we see Vorpal locking in that Heimerdinger. Could go to Facade as well, but this one banned away from him last game. It has been just a pocket pick of his. Kind of going back to that meta last year, we saw all the mages coming into the bot side. The Heimerdinger was one of the premier ones. He's still a very good pick. It's going to offer them a lot of push potential, and it's going to be hard to actually get on top of him.
The Sivir as well is an interesting decision to go for here. It does stop a lot of Leona's power in engaging with the spell shield, but that also opens up some options for later game play. Lambert have been very much determined to push the pace of the game in the early stages and the mid game. They want to be kind of aggressive, but if East Coweta have this Sivir here to still out the game, as well as the Rek'Sai, which have early game pressure, that game pace can get really slowed down, which isn't typically what you think of when you think of a Rek'Sai. Like, usually he wants to be very aggressive, but he can just sort of use his power in the early game to try and make sure the Elise doesn't affect lanes too much, and then they could use the Sivir and the threat of the Orn engage to try and stop any sort of sieging potential or Baron taking potential from the side of Lambert. So they could try and play a longer game, which Lambert, we don't really know if they're good at that style of play. They could be, probably are. They're pretty much good at everything.
We have a lot of picks coming through. Lambert, they have thrown their old composition out the window, now locking the Urgot up in the top side, trying to counterpick that Orn, and the Syndra and the Blitzcrank coming in for East Coweta.
So, a weird decision, I think, to go for the Blitzcrank here, because you're up against Leona, which, again, as a champion, you don't really want to hook. So that seems like an interesting matchup in the bot side, but certainly if you can find a Blitzcrank hook at a later stage of the game, that is a big game-changing thing to start a fight with. Like, Gragas Cask, amazing ability, but also the hook, the rocket grab from the Blitzcrank, you just pick someone off for free. I mean, that can just change an entire game in just one or two hooks.
And it is going to put a lot of pressure on that Heimerdinger if they're able to land those hooks. One of Heimerdinger's biggest strengths is it's really hard to engage into him because he can just sit inside of those turrets. He has all the CC, all the damage coming through, but Blitzcrank pull him out of that safety net and allow that Sivir to whittle him down, with those turrets and not running interference. We'll see if that's what Angelic can actually pull off. But the Rise, the last pick there from Lambert, will most likely be going over to Facade there in the mid lane and offer them some late game insurance.
A lot of AP damage, only really the Urgot for AD for Lambert, which is actually a good place for him to be because the one tank, well, the one big tank is the Ornn on the top side. So the Ornn can itemize magic resist very early on because he's got to deal with the Urgot in lane. So it creates a weird scenario where he kind of has to maybe build some health or some armor early on and then can transition to MR later on in the game. So it kind of makes Why You Flinch have a really kind of a difficult time itemizing a little bit early on. But certainly at the late game, he will be not taking like a ton of damage because he'll be able to stack like a bunch of different MR items.
Yeah, and we do see Skytrapper on that Syndra now. Syndra has been actually very strong in the current meta. A lot of pro players and really high up have put a lot of faith in this champion. Unfortunately, we haven't seen her much because she has been bugged. We've seen her interrupting those teleports, and so it's just this week that she's finally able to return to the game. East Coweta going to be grabbing that one.
So she's a powerful champion. Again, to find picks like that, like if you can combo, scatter the weak into something, that's big. So I think East Coweta actually have a lot of decent pick tools at the mid stage of the game.
All right, well, we're going to join these teams on the rip for game number 2. Will Lambert be able to finish out their perfect season, or will East Coweta put a blemish on their record and take us to a game number 3?
I mean, both sides definitely have potential in the mid game, so we might see a lot of fights started there at that time, but this invade might get a little dicey here as both teams invaded, and now they're not sure where each other are.
Yeah, really awkward situation. We can see, actually, the most dangerous part of this is walking back to your side of the jungle. Now, 1v2, they have realized what's gone on. Going to be a stun onto the Syndra, flashes away, the Ignite coming out as well. PlayVS is caught out. Why You Flinch going into the back line, but he's on the wrong side of the map. First takedown will go to Vulcan there on the Elise, as now the rest of East Coweta are running back to their side of the map. Vulcan there might be looking for something. Can Angelic hit the rocket grab? No, he will not, and so it will just be the one trade advantage.
Well, an unfortunate start there for the Ornn. He tried, basically, in order to get the knock-up on the wall, you actually have to hit the wall with your dash, and he just was a little bit, hair off there. Didn't hit the wall, didn't find the knock-up. If he had found the knock-up, he would have knocked like 3 or 4 people up. That would have been huge to start off the fight for Lambert, but unfortunately it doesn't come through there, and level 1 doesn't go, for East Coweta, so it doesn't go in their favor. Lambert once again come out on top in the level 1, which they did in game 1, and got their bot lane off to a decent start.
Yeah, we saw Vorpal heading down here early to set up his turrets and really get the push advantage in the bottom lane. This is something Heimerdinger's really good at, is you kind of spend all your time under the turret because he has all that extra push potential, and normally he will just get their level 1 and just leave his support to actually leash so that he can get that early level 2.
The one good thing is that you have a Sivir though, so
yeah.
In the mid game, in lane it'll be a bit tough to keep the Lave pushed, but in mid game the Sivir can outpush the Heimerdinger once she gets a couple items down.
Conqueror proc from its PKdar finds a good chunk of damage onto Why You Flinch. Out of potions now, he went for that Doran shield and had to use those potions after that initial engage in the bot river. He is a couple CS up, but its PKdar will have the push advantage and has the sustain with the corrupting potions.
I think that the Urgot, with his range advantage, is going to be a really tough matchup for the Ornn. Especially with the Conqueror, the extended fights are going to be really difficult for him to win. I think that this is definitely going to be a tough matchup in the top side. Especially when it doesn't seem like there's going to be a huge play top side early on from the Rex side to make something big happen. Or even if there is, I mean, the Elise is here as well, so.
Both junglers heading up here right now. Rex side abandoning that scuttle grab. Good bait while you flinch in. Both these top laners getting so low. Might end up just being a takedown before the junglers intervene. Vulcan has found Kanabi here in the river now. Double buff versus double buff. But they turn on to Why You Flinch. And it's PKdar is going to find a flip there. Kanabi will take him down. Looking now for the double, as Vulcan is able to run away to the safety of his minions. You saw Facade roaming up as well. But the Rek'Sai was able to just tunnel out of there. 1-for-1 trade.
Good start, though. I mean, the Urgot gets double assist and a second takedown there for the Elise. Really smart idea. Usually when you're coming back towards a fight and you get jumped on, you know, you think your attention's there, so the orange comes in as we get a fight bot side.
Blade onto the Blitzcrank, but Ignite coming down onto Vorpal. He has to run away, pop that heal. Now we see a battle of the junglers here in the mid lane. Vulcan getting so low. Skytrapper's going to come to make sure that one goes over real easy. Scatter the Weak will find his mark. And now it's PKdar in a 1v3, no flash available. He went just a little bit too far defending his jungler, and a massive swing back for East Coweta.
Nicely done. They're back in this one now after a rough level 1, and then the top side play didn't go in their favor. Well, quick rotation up from the mid laner here, and they get something back for themselves. 2 basically free takedowns there because of a bit of, you know, Lambert trying to help out their teammates. And the Urgot comes down trying to help out his jungler, but in the end he should have probably just let her go. You know, if you love something, let it go. I think that was probably the right call that time, but try to save him.
Angelic might be looking for a hook here. We see Vulcan roaming down to the spot side. The Sivir working out really well here for Ineffablis. About 10 CS up with that extra wave clear. Vulcan will take that Scuttle Crab as Angelic is going to force him out of the river. Clear out some wards. Play versus doesn't connect on the Zenith Blade. Great spell shield to stop the stun, and Play versus has to run for the hills. We saw Vulcan diving in there, and everybody's able to walk away safely.
Well, very close to not being safe there. Everyone very low on health and mana in the bot side here, but going to get the first back in should calm things down a little bit, as we've had a lot of fighting early on. Lambert, you know, previously the ones they were playing topside, being very aggressive and just making plays across the map, while East Coweta were just kind of being the reactive ones, playing to the Drakes because they knew the jungler was up topside a lot. But now we've seen a lot of mirroring from the Rex side. This is kind of what I was talking about, was like, all right, well, we know that they're going to be aggressive here, especially with an Elise pick. If he can just play, you know, defensively around his lane, just kind of counter the Elise, maybe they can sort of stall at the pace, and we're going to see a big CS lead opening up in the bottom lane. And if this Sivir gets incredibly strong, the team from Lambert is relatively low range, so that the Ricochets are going to do a lot of damage in the future team fights. I think that this could become a very scary Sivir later on, and the way the CS is going, the way that the pace of the game is going, I think that East Coweta are actually in a very good position here in game number 2, and they're kind of set up to, you know, neutralize Lambert's strengths, or, you know, or at least strengths in the last game from the early game, and shut that down, and then be really strong themselves come mid to late game, where I think that they're going to have a better time based on the composition and based on the fact that Lambert were just so good in the early game, shut them down before they could really even get going.
Lambert now trying to contest this Mountain Dragon that was started up by East Coweta. 4 members strong here for East Coweta. PlayVS is looking for the stun, is able to find it. Zenith Blade will find some more CC, but the rest of the team has joined. Then Lambert are able to steal the Mountain Dragon. Can they win the fight afterwards, though? Heimerdinger is able to find one as Vulcan is looking for the Syndra, but the Scatter of the Weak will by Skytrapper. Another takedown. 2-0-2 now on this Syndra. PlayVS will get chased down by the Rek'Sai. A little bit of CC. Oh, one more attack will do it. The Prey Seeker. No, PlayVS walks away.
That aftershock is so invaluable there. Somehow got out. The grenade from the Heimerdinger plus into the stun for the Leona. Massive, like just so important he hit that grenade, because if he doesn't, Leona probably doesn't get the cooldown up quickly enough, doesn't find the stun, and doesn't proc the aftershock and get away in time. Really well done. Disastrous play for them overall. After they stole the dragon, they lost the fight really hard. But Lambert do get the dragon and get out with both their bot laners. Not the worst thing in the world, but East Coweta, again, they get the gold versus getting the dragon. I think that trade's actually good for them here, because the individual dragons, like we talked about earlier, good but not great. And I think that really what's going to come down to is the gold that's going to matter more later on, especially when they have a strong Sivir who's doing quite well this game. She just needs to keep that CS up, keep doing well, and then they'll have a very strong AD carry, which is going to make life very difficult for Lambert in the future.
That it will. Lambert playing a little bit more to that bot side than in game 1. We saw Vulcan try to get the ball rolling once again in its PKdar's case up here on the top side. But with Kanabi matching that early roam up to the top side this time, it really hasn't worked out as well as it did in game 1.
Not at all. No, this is a very different game than game 1, which is going to create another interesting scenario. Like we talked about, adaptation to different scenarios in game here. Same exact team playing, different lineups, so obviously that's going to change the game here. But if you look at the jungle matchup, you know, like Elise and Urgot with a top side, like she can still make that top side play, be very aggressive there, and have that similar strategy. But good turret placement.
Booking's gonna bring in that turret. Angelic is baiting them in with the jungler coming in. Kanabi is able to set up that takedown for the Sivir to grab 1-0 and 1 now with that massive CS lead. And PlayVS is just not recognizing that Kanabi was waiting in that bush.
Well, great block of the Blitzcrank Cook with the turret there by the Heimerdinger, but could not save his support in the end. Good gank, and yeah, Lambert lose their support. Not the end of the world here, but certainly, you know, East Coweta continuing to sort of grow their lead here.
Waiting just over the wall here, so Vorpal will force the rest of East Coweta off. Now almost 10 minutes into the game, 2,000 gold lead here for East Coweta. As you said, they're in a very good spot. Not only do they have the gold advantage, a lot of that gold is put onto their carries. The 2-0-2 Syndra, the one takedown onto the Sivir, and now the Rise could be in trouble as Kanabi has to flash away. But the flash followed by Kanabi is going to take him down. A takedown spree for Skytrap.
Well, this is just a great start. I don't know what else to say. They're doing such an amazing job here, playing a very different game than game number 1. They're being proactive around the entirety of the map, as opposed to just trying to focus bot lane and get the dragons here. They're adapting to Lambert's style here, countering it to a degree, and just doing really well, just winning the fights that, you know, that they didn't last game. And they honestly couldn't even really take very often. They didn't get very many even fights. This time, Lambert are opting into them, and East Coweta, you know, winning them.
PlayVS is looking for that Zenith Blade in the mid lane, not finding its mark. Skytrapper's going to sidestep that one. Game state going very much in the favor of East Coweta, and as the game gets longer and longer, they actually have a lot of scaling on their side. So when you're looking at the Sivir, the Syndra, the Ornn items coming through, while you flinch is in a scuffle against its PKDAR, falls down to about half health. This PKDAR has the ultimate available, but Vulcan showing up, spotted in that ward, he has to flash away.
They could counter this dive. Rek'Sai is here, so we might have a messy play.
This around. Here comes the Ornn Hornets. PKDAR going to be knocked up. There's the bouncy house coming through. A flash away from the Ornn. Tries to drag the Ornn back with Fear Beyond Death, but the takedown coming in just earlier. As Vulcan, another jungle on jungle fight there. Tries to find the burst with Kanabi with the knockup. And the Repel's going to put him in a bad spot. Realm Warp in from the Rise. Now he's going to try his hand in the 1v2. Lambert just lining up here for East Coweta.
Looks like another messy fight for Lambert on the top side. Again, the Rek'Sai just countering what the Elise is doing. Wherever she goes, he's able to mirror it like almost all the time and shut her down. And that proactive style of Lambert with her jungler moving around trying to make plays, it's just getting countered by East Coweta, just reacting to it well. And now they find themselves taking the Rift Herald and in a massive gold lead here. Almost 4,000 gold up here at just 11, 12 minutes in. They are in a really nice spot, like we've said many times, and I don't see them throwing this lead away in the near future. I don't think Lambert are particularly strong, and they have decent options to find pickoffs and maybe get something back for themselves, but I don't really see a strong point for them, a strong lane where they actually have an advantage. They really don't have that this game, and that's a concerning sign, certainly if you're a fan of Lambert High School. I don't think that they have a ton of great options to come back into this one. Just gotta find picks in the mid game. Maybe they can, but right now they're the ones getting picked off.
That, but he's the one that gets found, flashes away. The Ignite will tick down, and he will fall. The flash over the wall for PlayVS as well. Your Vorpal gets left out to dry. Skytrapper now on a rampage. 4-0 into, and East Coweta will look for their dragon.
And I mean, the perfect season, man. I don't know if it's going to happen. Lambert are in a rough position here. This might be, a loss for them. It's so strange just to think about because they are undefeated here. They're defending champs. How would you ever even try and fight these guys? But East Coweta seem to be up to the task, and I don't want to call it too early. Don't want to curse them, but this is looking like a huge win for East Coweta to force this series to a Game 3. If they can keep up this pace, because they have a big lead here, now it's just trying to finish it out.
Radar using the Fear Beyond Death. You can get why you flinch below that threshold, but here comes the Ornn Horn. Is going to find the knock-up, the 1v1 going so evenly. Meanwhile, on the bot side, East Coweta charging down the bottom lane with that Rift Herald, taking away all those camps as well. And it seems like they're taking a page out of Lambert's book, just really focusing on this side of the map, and they have just been dominating.
The Rift Herald is such a powerful objective, sometimes underrated. It's one of those objectives where the value of it isn't like predetermined, right? When you take a Dragon, you know what you're getting, but when you take a Rift Shell, you can get so much.
Trying to find the dive, is going to find the stun, the repel, going to drop that aggro, but Why You Flinch finds the trade takedown, already making it worth it on that dive for the trade back. They bring up Facade to finish that one off.
Should be able to get plating here as well. Oh no, not going to be able to. So the dive really does not work out for Lambert. 1-for-1 trade, don't get anything off the back of it. Really unfortunate play. They at least get a trade, you know, which when your Urgot is 0-4, not bad, but not great either. And they need plays like that where you don't lose a top laner to really come back in this one. Otherwise, they're just going to slowly lose out here, as now Facade in trouble.
Angelic is going to find the knock up into the silence. The hook will connect. And the Sipper is going to put another takedown into her pocket. And Epibliss, Bitsby Kadar is trying to find a takedown onto the Blitzcrank. This dive might have gone wrong for East Coweta. Fear Beyond Death not available. Still about 15-20 seconds on that one. Skytrapper has joined the fight. Scatter the Weak looking for a target. They're able to find him. There goes the ultimate. The Scatter the Weak will find a second. A double takedown for the mid laner, who is now 6-0-2.
The Syndra incredibly strong here, and now the top laner almost taking out the Heimerdinger on the bot side. Vorpal has to run away there, and the push continues for East Coweta. It looks like they're not going to stop here. Maybe they'll look for the inner turret as well, at least get some damage down on that. And Lambert just having a tough time just standing up to any part of the map. You know, when East Coweta goes somewhere, Lambert just have to run away or face the consequences like they just did. Yeah, and they drafted this composition that was supposed to win out in the early game, having, you know, the advantage, the counter pickup on the top side, the Heimerdinger and the Leona to shove it in the bottom side, but nothing has gone their way. You see some CC volley, but no damage to back it up. 8,000 gold ahead. It's East Coweta just 15 minutes into the game. And all that gold also on Vulcan right now. So wherever he is where they're strongest, but they're still not as strong as East Coweta. Well, it's one of those things when you draft compositions like this, and the enemy team drafts, you know, a bit later in the game, generally speaking, your window for victory is actually not very big, because you either have to get something going quickly, otherwise you're just going to fall behind and things are going to be a bit unfortunate for you. You know, come mid to late game, you're just really not going to be able to do much of anything. And that sort of happened for Lambert, where they had a small window of execution. They traded early on, and then they just started losing fights after that because they slowly started to, you know, say, we don't have an advantage anymore because we're so reliant on being good in the early game. Don't have that anymore to fall back on. It's like, oh, we're strong right now. Well, they're weak right now. They're behind in gold. They really don't have anything to work off of. And once you fall behind when you're a team like this, it's sort of designed to be a bit more effective earlier on. Compared to the enemy team, that window is sort of closed on them, and there's not really any good options left for them. So is that, all right, well, these first few minutes of the game have to be really good for us, otherwise we're going to slowly lose out.
You see the Cloud Rift coming in as well, so not even having that option of a powerful combat rift that will really turn the tide of battle. Whereas we saw the Inferno coming in for Lambert in game number 1, help them match the scaling potential of that Jinx. Now they might have found Kanabi here in the jungle. The burst is there, but Kanabi goes golden, buying some time, will go into the ultimate as well. He's still alive. He's able to find an escape. Angelic on the backside will fall, but an Epibliss is on a rampage right now. Double takedown, make that a triple. Looking for the quadra, but it's taken away by Skytrapper.
Godlike.
And only one member, or 2 members, go down in favor of the 4.
Well, and now probably a turret as well here in the mid lane. I don't think they'll grab the inhibitor, but should be able to grab this inner turret and maybe the inhibitor turret as well before they'll be turned away. Although they just want to fight. Maybe he's going to take another one. We'll see here. But this is the beginning of the end of this one for Lambert. They don't really have the tools to come back in this one. The only thing they have positive for them going in the late game is the Rise scaling. Can be very potent, but even him, like, he's very strong, but you look at the across the way, he's so far behind in gold, he'll never be able to really cover that deficit. So East Coweta just going to take this inner turret back off, take the dragon, and they're in prime position to take this game and ruin Lambert's perfect season.
It is absolutely looking like that will be the case. Lambert High School really hoping for this a straight-up mistake from East Coweta. We saw there where, you know, the Rek'Sai was caught out in the jungle, but because Lambert are so far down in gold, they didn't have the damage to finish him off. He was able to use the stopwatch, able to use the ultimate, buy all that time. Hexdrinker coming in clutch too. We talked about the magic damage composition, and now they might have found the Blitzcrank. He will fall. Fear Beyond Death will make sure of it. And finally, Lambert find a single pick. Kanabe gonna dodge away from that solar flare.
Well, that's what they have to hope for, is more plays like that where they're able to just find a way, into a spot where East Coweta isn't expecting them, and just try and hope that they can pick off people before things really get going, because in an even fight, they're not going to win, and they really just need more picks like that to get back. And if they can take this Rift Herald, that'd be big, but it looks like they're setting up for another pick. A smart play, as this is a big gamble, but it has to
Scatter
go.
the weak, though, into that brush. Is going to find 3, and this is not a good start from Lambert. Ineffablis is dominating right now, and the carries of East Coweta are just too strong. Triple takedown for the Syndra makes her 10-0-3. And it seems like wherever Skytrapper and Ineffablis go, takedowns are sure to follow.
Well, that's a good way to face check a brush. Just throw the Scatter Weak in there and stun them all. I mean, oh man, they had to do it. Like, if you look at Lambert's situation, the only option was to try and find another pick like that. But when you all group up in a bush like that against a Syndra, things don't end well usually, and they did not there. Only option for them, really, if you look at the situation, but yeah, not a good feeling.
Not a good feeling at all. Ineffablis is just going to go and clear out that jungle, further taking away any resources that Lambert might have to catch back up in this game, even double jungle in these games. Just pure efficiency by Ineffablis.
Still have the Rift Herald, too. We haven't even dropped that yet. So if East Coweta next push, probably inhibitor down if all things go according to plan. And the Baron's up. So they could, if they want to, just drop the Rift and then go Baron, or they could just commit with the Rift and try and open up the base that way, which both are valid options. But I think that really the way you throw this game is losing Baron, like Lambert did last game, which almost ended up costing them the game. So I think that really the best option is to just go for a Rift Herald power. Well, this is a weird place to drop it. But
yeah, I feel like that one may have been unintentional, probably trying to sweep out the river and dropping that Rift Herald instead. However, it will now push into the mid lane, so East Coweta are going to try to match it, guide it down its destination. They're going to force Lambert into an unfavorable path out of that jungle. But now they're actually just going to use that pressure to swap over to the Baron.
Well, they don't have anyone to tank this. The Ornn isn't here. The Rek'Sai is going to take a lot of damage from it. And Lambert are coming in. I think that this might be an unfortunate situation.
Finch trying to just play keep away. The Skytrapper there as well. Those Spheres going to do a good job of just zoning away. They're trying to make sure the Vulcan cannot get into this pit. Baron down to about 3,500. Ornhorn's going to come through. That Blitzcrank hook not going to go anywhere. And a godlike Sivir means no jungle left to smite away the Baron. Skytrapper is legendary as well. And Lambert come up with absolutely nothing here. As Coweta get the fight, they get the dragon. Double takedown for Skytrapper. Make it another triple takedown. And they might just push down the mid lane and try to end this one.
Baron over, and this looks like the game might be over. 13-0-3, 7-0-11. When their carries are at that scoreline for your team, generally means you're doing pretty well. And looks like the inhibitor will fall. Maybe East Coweta will back off and just wait for the next push here to play it safe, which is probably the correct play. But Lambert have their hands full to even just... Oh, hold on. Maybe tell me to carry.
Mike can interrupt that recall, pulling Insticadar into the team. And it was a good look by Lambert catching the members backing, but once again, the gold lead is just not there. They're 15,000 gold down. Kanabe's able to take down Vulcan. And with those last few members falling, that's what East Coweta needed to end this game. A triple takedown for Ineffablis will be what puts the first blemish on Lambert High School's otherwise perfect record here in the finals. They will be taking us to a game number 3.
I knew they had it in them. I didn't know they were going to do that. That was
a stomp.
That was a display of pure dominance in that game. Thought maybe they could take it, but I was expecting a drawn-out game where it was back and forth and all these different plays going, just a little bit different, and then maybe they could win. But the way they did that game was just they just ran over Lambert, who, again, have been uncontested as the best team, but now they've got some company, and we're going to Game 3.
Lambert, in that Game 1, you saw their game plan of really trying to get the top lane ahead, play around the top side so they could have priority around those Rift Heralds. This time in Game 2, though, love to see that Kanabe interrupted that plan. He roamed up to match the Elise up there in the top side, actually got to set the advantage, and from there, it seemed like there was nothing else Lambert could do. They ran out of tools to actually fight back in that game.
Yeah, exactly. That was the best way to describe it. They just didn't have really anything else to do. They kept trying to camp brushes, which worked once, and then they were like, oh, wait, let's not face check another brush and just throw, Scat of the Week in there, and then things got turned around. So, again, they kind of did everything they could to come back. Like, they kind of played to the odds, which is what you kind of have to do from behind. Lambert were like, well, if we can test the Baron or we do this or that. They tried everything they could to come back and try to, find the highest percentage play. But in the end, you're still playing to, like, a really small out. So it's just really hard to come back from the situation. Even if you do everything right, you're so far behind at that point. What can you really do?
All right, well, it all comes down to this one last game between Lambert and East Coweta. The winner takes all. The loser walks home in second place. We're going to go to another short break as these players get ready for their final game of the season. Don't go anywhere. You're not going to want to miss this. Welcome back, everybody, to the final, almost historic, dare I say, game between Lambert and East Coweta. The only game that matters the entire season. Both these teams made it to the championship. East Coweta just put the first loss on Lambert's record that they've had all season long. And now looking to do it again and steal away that championship title.
I mean, game threes are always exciting here. It doesn't matter what's happened. It's one game. That's all that matters now. Just got to win this one, and then you're the champions. But an amazing accomplishment, even if they don't win, to beat the undefeated, defending champions. East Coweta have done a great job so far. Obviously, would like to close this one out, but I mean, to beat an undefeated team, that's impressive. Just by itself.
Yeah, and we saw in that game a couple of picks that went over that were banned away in game one, namely the Rek'Sai and the Sivir, both of which seem to be pretty big components of why East Coweta were able to find that victory. Do you expect them to rejoin the ban table?
I mean, Rek'Sai for sure. Sivir maybe not as much because the lane matchup was kind of the thing that skewed her to be very powerful, but I think Rek'Sai you definitely want to maybe get rid of. That was very powerful to combat the Elise and just kind of the early game play style of Lambert where they just kind of like have the jungler be very, very active, make as many plays as possible, especially, in game one was topside, but in game two was like they were just trying to make any play they could, and then none of them really ended up working out.
All right, well, looking at game number 3, what do you expect? Like, after draft phase, what are these teams most likely looking to do?
Well, after draft phase, I think Lambert, it seems like they're the team that just wants to push the pace of the game, be very, very aggressive. So I think that they need to stick to that sort of play style here, but be very prepared to deal with the enemy jungler. Because the thing in game 1 was that the enemy jungler just kind of went to the opposite side of the map. In game number 2, he was matching the Elise wherever she kind of went, well, most of the time anyway. And they need to be, more cognizant of where the enemy junglers track them a bit better, because if they can do that, then they can find the openings to then make the plays that really got them the lead in game number 1, and probably is what has propelled them to, this point here, being in the grand finals and trying to take it here in game number 3. A little stumble, but I think, again, go back to what was working for you, but just try and be more aware of where the enemy jungler is, because that's really why the plays have been shut down, is that the Rek'Sai was just there to counter.
And what was working for Lambert in game number 1 was that top half of the map. We saw when they were able to get the Ornn versus the Set matchup, and they were able to get up into that top side almost uncontested there on the Nidalee. They had a wonderful time playing to that top half of the map. It's what they tried to do, as you said, but got shut down in game number 2. Is that the play once again for Lambert to stay in the top side, or do they maybe draft some more power in the bottom lane and give them some resources?
Well, I think they'll definitely try and go top side again. I mean, Ornn's going to be first picked if it's not banned. I think that's really what we've learned here. Ornn first pick twice in a row. I think we're going to see 3 times in a row if no ban. And, see if my prediction's right coming up in the draft.
All right, we're going to head right into the draft phase. Lambert is going to rejoin that blue side. East Coweta will be on the red side. So first pick for its PK'd there.
And like I said, Ornn most likely going to be first picked here, but then the follow-up. What is the follow-up? East Coweta last time in game number 1, they went for Gragas Yasuo when they were on this side. So we'll see if they go for that again. Didn't really work too well. I mean, the Gragas was good and the Yasuo was okay, but they never really found the big engage from the Gragas into Yasuo. The Gragas made some plays, but the Yasuo never was able to capitalize on for whatever reason. So I think they'll probably not go for that competition again and try and go with something else here. But the wind wall power, that is big to try and shut down the Ornn here as well. So I think drafting a Braum or Yasuo could be good if they really want to deal with that Ornn without banning him away.
Well, the Ornn is going to be banned away here from East Coweta, remaining its 100% presence. Lambert High School going to fire back with that Sivir. Coming back to the ban table, we saw Ineffablis have a fantastic game on him in game number 2, with the Rek'Sai as well coming back.
Well, with Rek'Sai banned away here, jungle picks are going to be very important, I think. So we'll see them, I would imagine, in first rotation. First pick might still be a top laner because that has been a very important lane for both sides. Despite what you might think, usually we've seen a lot more bot side and mid laners priorities, but it seems like these guys really care about the top side matchup, as Kadar is a big player on his team, but they're just going to grab that jungler early on, which the jungle matchup has been so important in both these games, and I have to assume will be important in game number 3.
Absolutely. We'll see what East Coweta are going to fire back with. That Jarvan, one of the kind of remaining engaged junglers early on that are on the table, going to follow it up by that Caitlyn.
Well, I mean, Vulcan can get jumped on by the Jarvan, and that can be worrisome. But I think he is set up to it in a decent matchup to try and make plays here. I think that the game, once again, will be on the shoulders of Vulcan to really do something big here. And a smart pick to take away the Morgana from the enemy side to try and get rid of that Caitlyn-Morgana combo.
And this is really interesting. Lambert going to grab that Yorick here in the first rotation. Blind pick up into the top side. East Coweta will grab the Nautilus to pair with that Caitlyn.
Well, I have to assume there's a big commitment to top side. Like game 1, it's going to be all topside. Lambert are just going to commit as many resources up there so that way they can get a really strong Yorick. And once they get the Rift Herald, once they get pressure going, they can just start smashing down towers. And the Yorick's so good at taking them. Such a good split pusher. He's terrible in the late game. Not very good there. But Lambert, once again, they're going to play to the strength of their team. And they are just going to go pedal to the metal the entire time, trying to end it as early as possible. Not by losing this time, but end it as early as possible. Just push the pace of the game, try and commit topside, and replicate the assists they had in game number 1.
Lambert still needing to pick up their ADC and mid laner. As you can see, a lot of mid lane bans coming in from both sides. The Syndra, the Katarina, the Fizz joining the table. The Mordekaiser can flex there as well. And it's going to be the Rise locked in from East Coweta. We'll see what Lambert High choose here. They will have to pick their mid laner and their ADC. I'm actually surprised that Coweta did not save that mid lane pick for a counter.
You would probably want to pick the top laner there, yeah, because then you already know the enemy top laner, so you can just sort of pick that and then save the mid lane pick, but they probably don't want the Rise picked away from them, is maybe the mindset there. But then they give over Cassiopeia Rise. I think that's a decent match. Kaisa here is a little bit surprising in terms of AD carries. Because she is low range, and against a Caitlyn, that can be trouble or something.
It actually is a Rise there up there in the top side.
So never mind then.
Yeah, saving that counter pick for the mid lane, the Orianna going up against the Cassiopeia. It's a really good matchup, kind of a skill matchup for both of those players, and both are very effective as the game goes on. But that Rise against the Yorick, especially with Rise's most recent rework where that Spell Flux automatically spreads, very good against those ghouls.
Well, he'll be good in the matchup in the top side. The worry for me is when, pretty much inevitably, I think Vulcan's going to come up topside. Rise, he does have powerful roots to try and stop turret dives, but obviously being a mage, he's just going to go down quicker. He's going to have a lot less health and not be as tanky, so that's a concern to me is like, yeah, he's going to be able to clear waves a bit better and can maybe, deal with the Yorick a bit better, but if there is pressure from the jungler, how is he going to survive that as easily? Because I'm just sort of worried for that moment, especially if he gets caught in the cage from the Yorick. Like, I think that could be really disastrous for the Rise up top side. But obviously there's powerful, tools to try and stop dives and stop the wave from crashing. So maybe he can do it, but why you flinch, I think, once again, eyes going to be on him in the top side, and we'll see if Vulcan replicate the success he had in game number 1.
Yeah, both these teams going very hard into the scaling here in game number 3. I expect this one to be a long, drawn-out fight. However, Lambert, we expected that from them in game 1 as well, and it was anything but. So when we're looking at this game, do you think Lambert really tried to make a lot of plays in the early game, or are we looking at maybe a farm fest for the first 20, 30 minutes?
Well, they're definitely going to make plays topside, that's for sure. Or at least they're going to try to give Yorick tools to do well in lane. So they're definitely going to pressure that. But like you said, there's some scaling. Like the Baron take for Lambert's going to be insane. So pressure early game with Yorick, then transition to side lane pressure with Yorick, and threaten Baron. Those are the two big things that Lambert are going to do.
Right. Well, we're going to be joining these teams on the Rift for one last game here. The last one that they will have all season long. As you see a little bit of an invade here from Lambert early on, as Kadar was able to get that ward kill. 1 CS, gold lead, almost insurmountable at this point.
Certainly is. What is it? If you get, is it 10 gold you get off
I
that?
think if you get the killing blow, it's 30.
It's 30, okay.
So not enough to go back and buy anything, But will have that 30 gold advantage if he wanted to clear that first wave and go get himself. Well, no, he already has corrupting potions, so completely irrelevant. Lambert so far behind.
I don't clear wards, so I wouldn't know what they. I just walk past them.
I don't even know what they do.
Well, I place them every once in a while.
I know they don't do damage.
Yeah, I place them every once in a while for when I put a control ward down to say that I'm a team player, but I never clear wards. It's a waste of time.
Speaking of the wards, Lambert were able to get one on to East Coweta's red buff, so they will know that Kanabi is most likely starting on this bottom side of the map. When he does roam up there, they'll be able to spot it. We saw Vulcan in game one go buff to buff to buff. This has actually been a very popular kind of strategy in professional play, although it usually goes your red buff into the enemies and then back to your blue buff. A little bit of an augmented path here, but almost an identical pathing start for both these junglers to game number one.
I can't believe that Jarvan's going to get 3-buffed again. Well, he was Gragas in game number one, but I can't believe Kanabi. Like, if this works again, I'm going to be blown away because this is just like literally the exact same thing he did.
Yeah, it's the full blue side clear for Kanabi into the 3-buff from Vulcan. A nice hook onto the Coweta there in the bottom lane. Immediate heal coming through. Angelic falls pretty low. PlayVS does not have that binding available. And there you can see Vulcan up here on the top side. Actually goes for the Krugs to take away before the red buff. Jules going to put a little bit of poke down as Kanabi will finally roam up here.
That does throw off the timing now because the Jarvan's already at the red buff, so interesting decision to go for that. But he wants level 3 maybe before the fight comes through. Interesting decision there. But maybe he can find the rise in the gank. We'll see. But the Nidalee, once again, going to play towards that top side. And the bot lane just going to hope to survive. That's the goal here. They have the Black Shield, have ways to deal with the Nautilus, but going to be tough for them like game number one. But they did it there, and maybe they can do it again.
Yeah, Ward in that Tribe Rush on the top side will spot out the jungler if she tries to come over. We see a little bit of a scuffle between Kanabi and Vulcan. Skytrapper will be able to find the roam over first. Vulcan has to run away as Facade looks for a little bit of chip damage onto his opponents. Nobody going down there, no Summoner's Spur either, but Kanabi very large. Ooh, good hook under the tower. Angelic taking a lot of damage back for PlayVS. The headshot is able to follow, and first takedown for Ineffablis.
Well, that's concerning for sure because if that becomes a losing lane bot side, significantly, then it puts a lot of pressure on Lambert to try and really get the top lane going. They can't just sit back and wait till the mid game when the Yorick comes in line with Triforce and they have a really powerful Baron take with Coweta.
Horrible, gonna get ignited. Will trade one back. Actually, might be two. The turret shot, last one not coming through. Will be a 1-for-1 trade for the bot laner of Lambert up here on the top side. Flinch locked in, fighting off these ghouls. He is out of mana. No spells left to sling, and he will walk away safely.
That CS lead, Yorick's growing. He's clearly doing well in that matchup. In a 1-for-1 trade bot side, not the worst thing in the world considering you lost your support earlier on, so good job there by Vorpal. Things hopefully can stabilize there at least, because that would be, that'd be good for Lambert so they can continue to pressure the top side.
Also, Angelic picking up that takedown on that dive, which means that extra gold doesn't go into Caitlyn's pocket, evening that lane up just a little bit.
Yeah, the CS is going to give a slight advantage, but won't be the worst thing in the world. And now the junglers find each other again.
Junglers once again battling it out. This time, Facade had the mid lane priority, so he was able to roam over to that one first. First dragon going to be spawning here in just a few moments.
His Conqueror Cassiopeia, which, the range way back in the olden times, Conqueror got nerfed. So she's not going to get as much healing, and it's not as good anymore, but it's still very powerful if you can stack up the Conqueror and just get that insane healing and extra damage that Cassiopeia gets. So that'll be very scary for her. I mean, if she starts to get strong, she can take over a game for sure.
We see up on the top side of the map where Lambert normally plays towards. Vulcan and Kanabi have been absent from that lane, but a massive CS advantage for its PKDAR. It's able to be almost 20 CS up, almost double YU Flinch's score there.
Yeah, they're trying to lane gank, put a nice ward from I assume Angelic, put that one down from East Coweta. They have vision on the Nidalee, so he's trying to lane gank there, but the ward just spots him out. And now he's wasting a bunch of time, but he doesn't know it as Jarvan's coming.
Yeah, Jarvan also waiting just behind the vision range. Good hook onto the jungler. Vulcan, teleport going to come through from the rise. Knocked up and taken down as PlayVS. and Effel's going to grab that one, and that's not exactly where you want to teleport to. It's Coweta immediately flashes away. Great shockwave and the double takedown for the Caitlyn before she's shut down, but East Coweta are just running over this fight right now. Cassiopeia doing what she can, but Facade will fall the Sky Trapper. And once again, we see a fight come up huge for East Coweta.
And that's how they won game number 2 as well, is those big fights, and then it just turned the entire game around. Double TP in, but you can no longer cancel TP, and certainly if they wanted to, they would have. Like, or rather if they could, they would have, because that would have been a huge thing to just not lose those 2 members who TP'd in. I mean, that was just a terrible fight for them. They don't really get much back at all, and they lose the advantage they have in topside because the top laner TP's down. Mid lane also, just comes in and just gets taken down immediately before she can get anything back. Just a really terrible situation for Lambert High School. They really just lose everything that they had going for them in that early game, which wasn't much, but they at least had the top lane doing well, and now that's not as much anymore, at least in his favor.
Coweta also able to pick up that Cloud Dragon on the backhand. So sitting at a 2,000 gold lead just 7 minutes into the game. Eerily similar situation to game number 2, where these fights going their way, they're able to pick up lots of standing gold on the backhand. And most importantly, all that gold going on to the carry. So Ineffablis now 3-1-2. They were able to allow Sky Trapper to pick up that takedown onto the Cassiopeia, so he's got a takedown in his pocket. This is going to be a really good look for them, catapulting those carries to those first items before some of these larger fights come in.
Yeah, getting that item advantage, especially because Kaisa is going to go for an item that puts a lot of gold into future stats, basically, with the Mana Immune. She's going to grab that and try and stack that up, but she's going to be at like a lot less, combat effectiveness during the stages where Caitlyn is going to complete that first item and start hitting really hard.
Putting on a lot of damage. The binding going to come in, but blocked by Angelic. But poking Vorpal down to half health with just a few auto attacks put them in a good spot to siege down this turret. Here comes Vulcan, though. Can they find the binding? Splits the uprights. And it's good from PlayVS. Flashes away from that hook, as now Facade is in a 1v1 of his own. He's able to dodge away from a lot of those abilities. Finds the 1v1 takedown. The ultimate gonna go wide. Now trapped in the Cataclysm. Will most likely go down. Conqueror does a lot of healing, but cannot be able to trade that one back 1-for-1. Realm Warp from the Rise gonna bring him to safety, as YU Flinch has to get out of there. Once again, the 1v2 dive. This time the trap placed perfectly, and Ineffablis is now 5-1-2.
And the Realm Warp traded for the ultimate of Yorick up top side. Actually favors Yorick because his ultimate gets to stick around for a while, and he's going to be able to potentially capitalize when the Realm Warp is down in the future. But yeah, the rest of the map not going so well for Lambert. Bot side a huge win, and that Caitlyn going to be completing that first item on next back and be incredibly strong in just the near future. She is so far ahead of her competition right now. It's getting scary. And the Cassiopeia is strong, but not strong enough to 2v1 there. The good news for Lambert, soul lanes are okay, but the bot lane going pretty terribly in this jungle matchup, which the Nidalee hasn't done bad this game, but it's just that the Jarvan has done so well.
Vulcan now caught between 2 members here, looking to press onto the Rise, not having his Cicada quite there for backup. Still getting very aggressive, falling below half health, chugging those potions there. Kanabi's going to be locked in, but here comes Skytrapper to turn it around. A Shockwave will find the takedown, but not before Vulcan grabs one of his own, as Cicada will fall there at the end. Is YU Flinch picks up credit for that one. And once again, we see East Coweta turning around the fight and coming out on top.
Well, there should be a bot lane swap now. The Caitlyn and the Nautilus should go back, buy items, then move topside because there's no dragon for about a minute and a half. They can go topside, get Rift Herald, shove that in, try and take another turret topside, and then come back bot for the dragon and grab that Infernal. So I think that there should be a lane swap here for the Caitlyn, and she's going mid lane here, which I think is probably less optimal, but they can do that as well if they'd like to. But there's really no incentive to go back bot lane for the Caitlyn because there's no turret there, and trading farm with a losing lane that's way behind you isn't really good. So should be a lane swap somewhere, but looks like they're not going to go straight topside for the Rift Herald just yet. They're going to move mid lane while Orianna covers bot.
The Skytrapper does have that teleport coming up in about 30 seconds. Vulcan and Facade have found out the jungler around this Rift Herald looking for the damage. He goes golden to buy some time. He's able to flag and drag, not gonna make it as he gets taken down by Vulcan. But now Ineffablis, the strong carry for East Coweta, has joined the fight. Uses the heal, but does get binded up anyway. See why you flinch is doing a little bit of damage. Flash forward from Vulcan, and he finds the Rise. Caitlyn is able to take down PlayVS off your screen, and East Coweta are just tearing through Lambert. It's Ineffablis on the front line, just playing that Caitlyn so aggressively. And he's gonna come up with a massive team fight win.
I don't know if this. Okay, it looks like the Nilly going to fire back here. Should be able to run away here, but definitely won't win this 2v1 situation here. That's why you rotate your carries up topside. You have a very strong Caitlyn. You want to bring her up there so that when you go topside and contest the Rift Scuttle and the Rift Herald, you actually have backup there. The rotation wasn't super quick, but everyone did eventually come over, and the Jarvan, didn't fall in vain here. So really good job. And now they get the Dragon here. Rift Herald will have to be taken a bit later, but really nice win for East Coweta once again. Now they get Dragon and Rift Herald, I assume, in the coming moments. So this is a big pickup for them. Yorick trying to pressure the top side, but he's having difficulty doing that. The Rise is being able to wave clear, just well enough to try and stall out here, and the Yorick really not having too big an effect on this game because they weren't really able to get too much advantage off that. Vulcan did not do what he did in game number 1 and just kind of take over the game and get his Ornn, super far ahead of the enemy set and just kind of shut him out of the game. This time around, the Yorick is doing okay, but really not having the biggest impact that they need him to have in this game. Because if you look at the rest of the map, they are just struggling so much.
And now East Coweta with a 5,000, almost 6,000 now gold lead. Just 13 minutes into the game, plates haven't even gone down. They're going to grab this Rift Herald for themselves. That Caitlyn already on her IE, surely sitting on so much gold that she never reset off after that play around the Rift Herald. And things only get scarier. The flash forward into the ultimate. Cassiopeia does find a nice two-man ult, but the Cataclysm will keep Facade in range for Ineffablis to be unstoppable. 8-1-2 on this Caitlyn. Skytrapper in a 1v2 of his own, but winning handedly the chunk cell Vulcan. Rift Herald going to be spawned here in the mid lane. East Coweta know they have the numbers advantage, and they have the strength of the Caitlyn to knock these turrets down.
Gonna knock another turret down before plating expire. I mean, that's max gold you can get from that. This Caitlyn is so strong. The supporting cast is decently strong, like they're doing well, but there is so much gold on this Caitlyn right now that her damage is just ludicrous at this stage of the game. And the Kai'Sa simply cannot match that. Even if the Kai'Sa has a really good team fight, she just doesn't have the damage to match the Caitlyn here, not even close. This is an incredibly concerning development for sure. How do you recover from this deficit? Like in game number 1, or game number 2 rather, I don't really know what the answer is for Lambert. They do have good scaling this time around though. That is the one good thing that they have that they didn't have last game, where the Cassiopeia and Kai'Sa will eventually be just as strong as the enemy team. And their carries late in the game, but can they get there? It's looking like that's going to be a challenge in and of itself.
PlayVS looks for the ultimate, immediately goes golden. Why you flinch? He was losing the matchup a little while ago, now confident in this 1v2. That top lane turret dwindling down. And
Yorick really needs that Triforce completion to really threaten the Rise again. The Rise now has so much HP and enough mana that he can just kite back, especially with the phase rush he's got. And with Royal Morph and Flash up, no way he can get caught really by the Yorick. So he doesn't have the damage to beat the Rise in the 1v1 as the Yorick, and the Rise has enough health to sort of just kite him back and just take the burst damage that you would get on Yorick. So he really needs that Triforce to really threaten the 1v1 again.
That is the case. Lambert High School really hoping for nothing short of just a straight-up mistake from East Coweta. Looking to punish Flinch. That is exactly the mistake they were looking for, as Vorpal finally gets himself another takedown. Now 3-3 on this Kai'Sa. Meanwhile, Ineffablis pushing up into the mid lane, has his jungler there to keep himself safe. But East Coweta have to back off. Jellic is gonna find the hook away. Flash forward from PlayVS to find that binding. Can they actually get out? Teleport from Skytrapper coming in. Two-man knocked in the Cataclysm. And now it is East Coweta putting down the damage. They have their carries here, and they are running over this fight. It's BKDAR just slinks away with a sliver of health bars. Lynch now teleporting into the mid lane. East Coweta want more gold. They're just breaking down these structures left and right, and there is nothing Lambert can do to stop that.
And they're on the inhibitor turret here at 16 minutes, okay?
They don't even have a
16
wave.
minutes, and now the wave will come in and reinforce. Looks like they're not going to stick around and try and break it open. Could have maybe, but certainly a risky proposition. Don't want to throw it away. This is the last game. Okay, perfect season for Lambert High School. Defending champions. No way they're going to lose this, right? All of a sudden, East Coweta, they're up big in game number 3. They're up 10,000 gold at 16 and a half minutes. This is a humongous lead for them. I'm stunned by what they've done. I thought maybe they'd take a game in this series for sure, and game number 2 was a surprise in how lopsided it was. But I expected them, hey, maybe they can do something here. But what they've done is defeat the undefeated champions, and now can maybe end the series with a win.
Rise looking for the takedown. The ultimate will connect, and Vulcan's going to grab a takedown. But here comes Ineffablis, and he is just so ridiculously strong. That is a lot of damage. Vorpal cannot keep up as a headshot will cut through the ultimate shield. As here comes the Cassiopeia looking for the Caitlyn. Skytrapper, though, just one shot. Facade, and its Kadar will fall as well. Lambert, the only remaining members in the top in the jungle. The flag and drag will take down Kanabi. The ultimate from Caitlyn will take down its Kadar, and the clean ace coming through 17 and a half minutes in.
Don't think they could break the base in time, but they can probably rotate through and maybe set up a take on the bots. No, they're just going to go mid lane here. I don't think they have enough time to threaten the inhibitor here, but they're just going to shove in the waves. That's kind of the bad thing when you ace someone this early on in the game, is that like, oh wait, we don't have enough time to do anything with it because we're so far away from everything. But yes, an ace this early on. The Caitlyn is now 12 takedowns. 12, 1, and 5. She is so ridiculously strong right now. About to complete her 3rd item. Just how do you even get onto her and shut her down? They don't really have the tools to dive the backline except for the Kaisa, if she's able to ult in there with the Killer Instinct, but she's so weak right now, the Caitlyn will just step back and like, wait, you really just ulted on me? Okay, well, if that's what you want to do.
That's exactly what we saw in that last fight, that Kaisa ulting forward with one headshot from Ineffablis through that massive shield, just destroyed Vorpal. So we see there's not a lot Lambert have to pick up. Their entire jungle being cleared out by East Coweta.
They have bot side camps, but I don't know if they're going to be able to get to those before East Coweta do.
This is an 11,000 gold lead, not even 20 minutes into the game. Actually, I mean, when you look at game 2 as well, it was about 15,000 20 minutes in, so East Coweta on par to replicate that game 1 dominance, and that one ended just shy of 25 minutes.
We might have a shorter game. This game might end very, very soon. Rift Herald's about to be picked up here. And with a push, with a Caitlyn, with a Rift Herald, like, I don't know how they stop that.
Especially at this exact timing with the Baron spawning in less than a minute, you actually have the potential to get a Baron up Rift Herald push. And when you have a 12-1 Caitlyn, a 10-stack Magi Soul Stealer on your Orianna, a Baroned up Rift Herald push is something that very few teams would be able to stand up against.
Yeah, the Kaisa wave clear okay, but there's no Sivert here this time. There's no Anivia. Like, there's just nothing really to stand up and just clear the minions constantly. They don't really have that here. Cassiopeia is mediocre at best with wave clear, so that's just a concern here. The Yorick can maybe put some pressure down on the side lane. There's not really anyone who can like 1v1 him super cleanly in the side lane. The Rise is okay at it.
Vulcan is going to get taken down. So
Wait
close to Realm Orb, taking him away from the jungler. That could have been a crucial pick, but not having the damage in time. Still, Ineffablis is legendary, picking up that ace in the hole. Shockwave going to grab the support, and 2 takedowns in. East Coweta are looking to grab their final fight into a victory. A little bit of poke damage on the Skytrapper. Oh my goodness! Why you flinch just so much damage. Rift Herald's gonna be popped. And with only 2 members remaining, this is almost certainly gonna be the inhibitor turret going down.
That's not a little bit of damage, that's a lot of damage. And now the base is gonna be broken, inhibitor will fall. And East Coweta are on the verge of beating the undefeated defending champions. Well, they're not undefeated anymore. And East Coweta, I think they could probably end on this push. It's going to be a little dicey, but I think they can do it.
The rest of the team has respawned. It is do or die for Lambert High School. They need to make a stop here if they want to keep their championship hopes alive, but they are dropping left and right. Skytrapper's going to go golden as Panabi is the last.
They lost their carries,
go
though.
Down. The carries are gone. Caitlin shut down. Skytrapper has fallen. Why you flinch in a 1v2 against Vorpal in play versus? He's just trying to buy time at this point, and he is going to get shut down as well. An overstep by East Coweta nets a lot of gold into Lambert's pocket.
There's 1,000 gold shutdown on the Caitlin, and a similar amount there on the mid laner as well. That Oriana had a lot of gold on her head, so that's a massive swing here. You look back at the gold graph, it's still 10K, but here, Hail Mary play on the Baron, but if this works, Lambert have another chance.
Navi is back up onto the map. He's rushing towards that Baron, and that list is also respawned. Lambert, they don't have a lot of options left. Vulcan doesn't even have Smite for about 5 seconds. There comes the Scryer's Bloom just to find some vision, and it's going to be burned down before anybody can respond. But here comes Skytrapper with a massive shockwave, double takedown already, and they might have gotten the Baron, but they are losing everybody. Facade is the only remaining member with the buff, but 1v5. Can he hold on?
Well, this, they're going to respawn about 20 seconds here. The Caspia's Baron, so she can stall it for a little bit of time, but she might just, she's going to go down.
Flag and drag into the Cataclysm means there's nowhere left to run. Facade uses the ultimate to buy some time. Skytrapper will pick up the ace, and nobody left to defend. Means East Coweta, they have done the unthinkable. They have not only taken a game, they've taken a series, they've taken a championship away from our defending champions in Lambert High School.
There's a few more hits on the Nexus, but got to pad those stats here as now the Nexus explodes. And East Coweta, the champions. Wow. Lambert High School, again, came into this undefeated back-to-back, looking to be back-to-back champions. Not anymore. East Coweta take it in dominating fashion after Lambert looked really good in game number 1. It was like, oh, well, this is business as usual, right? East Coweta come back with 2, just smashed them in the next 2 games.
That was disgusting.
It was, 25 minutes in the first one, or second game rather, and then the third game, it was like 22, 23. So, just incredible wins from them that were so convincing. It didn't even look like Lambert was like even a playoff team in the last 2 games, but just a completely different series after we left game number 1.
Just goes to show the amount of talent packed into this East Coweta roster, because completely dominate the championships. It came off the back of Ineffablis, and the ADC in the mid lane are really just carrying those fights. They always, were the recipients of all that gold, all those takedowns, and just wherever they went, death seemed to follow.
The Caitlin may be a pretty good champion. Look, that game, that last game,
it looked pretty good to me.
It was kind of a shift because Lambert were putting a lot of pressure on top side in game number 1. That worked out really well. They tried to replicate game number 2, kind of got shut down. But what happened was East Coweta's like, all right, if you want to go top side, fine. They just played really hard through their bottom lane as well as their mid laner, but really just played that bottom side of the map and just smashed them there and was like, well, if you're not getting something back on top side, they won. And that was kind of why their unsung hero, like the top lane for East Coweta looked really rough in game number 1, right? Because he just got straight up camped. But then he adjusted to that, and the pressure he absorbed in the next 2 games of the series was really quite a lot, because if he's not able to stop them from taking turrets early on and stop them taking the two turrets they took in game number 1, then that game looks different because you have all that gold going on to the top laner and the jungler. But that time he was just able to survive, and that was, it's not much when you look at it on the scoreboard, but it meant so much for the overall game.
Well, congratulations to East Coweta for that epic win in a Clash of Titans. They were able to come out on top. Hey, if you guys enjoyed watching that and want to get involved yourself, head over to PlayVS website, playversus.com. That's playvs.com. You can sign up for the spring 2020 season. Registration is open right now. Get your team and your school involved, and you could be the one on stage at the end of the season. But that's going to wrap it up for us here on the broadcast desk. I was your host today, Audio. Joining me was Kiosk. Thank you so much for coming out. We have some more Rocket League and League of Legends coming at you tomorrow. So if you want to check it out, hit that follow button at the top of the stream. You'll get notified when we go live. But for now, we're going to say goodnight. We'll see you tomorrow.
I think a lot of students have just gotten another sense of how to belong and how to create relationships outside of what were the traditional avenues.
And a lot of my students talk about how they feel safe in the esports program, and that's their family, that's their community. And I think that esports gives kids a future that they might otherwise not have.
Man, I wish that had been available when I was in high school.